fan to HHN 365 Halloween and Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm with my co-hosts, Duff, Jess, and Jonathan. How's it going, guys?
Hey, we're here.
Amazing.
Hello.
HHN 33 happens this year.
Yeah.
Oh.
On today's show, we will be finally talking about HHN Hollywood, joined with our good friend Jonathan from the Hauntline. Before we get to that, as always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at HHN365 and at TikTok at HHN365pod. We have an amazing Discord. The link is in the description. Join us with all sorts of discussion going on there. And we have a merch shop at HHN365.com. You can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-4134. We also have a little bit of news. Let's introduce our guest before we get to it. Jonathan, how's it going?
What's up, everyone? Happy New Year's. Hooray for Hollywood. And this is honestly day 2 of 2024. This is the best way to start it off. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Just how we planned it, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This was
Hey,
on the
beginning.
schedule.
It took us a while, but we got to it. We're finally going to talk about our Hollywood, the highs and the lows. That
Oh,
is
man.
that is the Hollywood event.
And then
I
John,
am, in fact, wearing bracelets right now.
Oh,
In true HHN 2023 fashion. I whipped them
Ooh.
out of storage. I'm
I
ready.
love that.
I need to pull them out of my fanny pack.
Mine are sitting on my desk. I have a craft project I'm going to be doing with them.
Ooh.
Ooh. And then,
All right.
John, let's have you plug your info now before people turn it off before the end of the episode, so they know where
Sure.
to find you.
You can find us at the Hauntline. That's Hauntline. Pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.com/the Hauntline. Am I forgetting anything else? No, that's it. And then thehauntline.com for links to all of our stuff.
Perfect. All right, let's hop into the news now. We have consolidated our news this week. There is more. We're going to save some for next week, but some of it's pretty interesting. So we had to include it this week, and it's Hollywood related as well. So very fitting. Jonathan, do you want to take this?
Yes.
Yeah, that Jonathan.
Yeah.
Damn it.
It's confusing.
Well, we'll get it. We'll get it by the end of the episode, I'm sure.
Will we?
Maybe. We'll see.
This is going to be fun.
It's gonna be great. I'm excited. So yeah, this is sort of almost a combined news segment, because both of these things I'm gonna say them both at the same time because they're both very related to one another. And the first piece of news is that Universal Hollywood will require advanced online reservations for Platinum Pass holders' free HHN ticket. As you guys know, Platinum Pass holders get a free HHN ticket with their pass, and now they'll have to reserve, the date online. And for Universal Orlando, they will require the same thing for Premier Pass holders that have the free HHN ticket. But this will start with the 2025 event. At least that's what it says on the website for now. That could change. And both reservations for both types of tickets are subject to capacity. So, how do we feel about this?
Taking it at face value, I think it makes a lot of sense, because outside of blockout dates, there was no sort of limitations of capacity for the way they use these. So if everyone decided to use their ticket one day, that would kind of fuck the event over, So I think it makes sense specifically for tickets like this to have them pick them in advance. It just makes it a bit easier. I don't necessarily think that means it's coming to anything else, but I'll let others talk about that potentially.
I
Are
think
you
it's
alluding to frequent fare?
Yes.
Ooh.
The internet is ablaze with multi-night tickets. Are going to need reservations.
Of course
now.
they are.
The entire event's going to need reservations.
It's
That's
never too early
insane.
for a little HHN panic. Am I right?
We've already
That's
had
fair.
our
Frequent
first,
fears aren't on sale yet.
Yeah, we've already had our first will frequent fear return of the year, so that's fun. Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I think it makes a lot of sense for this type of ticket. I'm not saying it's something that'll never happen. I don't think it's coming now, though.
No, and it's also, this is following what we saw last year with team members going into kind of the same system where they had to reserve tickets in advance and they only got a certain number. So it was a way to control that team members weren't, not, I don't want to say ruining, that's not the right word, but we had it in 2022 where it was on makeup nights from the storms or whatever that a lot of team members were showing up and annual pass holders, and it was making the waits 10 times longer than they should be in September or whatever the makeup day was on a Wednesday, Tuesday. So I feel like this is just the smart way to do it. And they already did it last year with the team members. So why not do it with another ticket that is free? So it's not that they're putting it on a paid ticket yet, but these are free options that are given as a perk. They kind of need to have some limitations on them.
Yeah, and this just goes hand in hand, I think, with like they made you pick your start date of your frequent fear and stuff. I think this is kind of all goes with that when they turn on, like when they close for capacity, they want it actually closed for capacity. They don't want. So I think it like all kind of goes hand in hand with that.
Completely agree. I understand when people see, things such as like having to make reservations, people want to think of the worst and stuff. But I really don't think that's the case here. I think this is just the case of it makes sense for this particular type of situation with these tickets.
Yeah, they're just closing the loopholes, I think, for like when it's actually when the event is sold out for the day, you don't have a workaround to get it.
I think we'll know when we're in trouble when just regular passes, regular APs have to start making reservations for the park, a la Disney. I think when that happens, then we can start being like, shit. But until then, yeah, I don't really see them going through all that trouble, really.
And even then, Disney is already starting to phase that process out slowly but surely. Right. So things could change in the future. And theme parks could get crazier, and they could start looking at reservation systems as a whole again. But I don't think it's happening to HHN. I don't think it's happening to Universal at all. If they avoided it all throughout 2021, 2020, 2022 even for some of it, they aren't going to start it now.
That's a great point.
All right, that's all the news we brought.
Yeah, that's it. There's more, but we'll talk about that on a later episode for sure.
All right, well, let's hop right into our main segment. It feels like it was so long ago, and because it was. We went to HHN Hollywood back in what was
late
it?
September.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
September.
So a little over 3 months ago now. We're finally going to talk about it on our HHN podcast. We're great.
Listen, they're used to us kind of slacking on shit.
I mean, this is pretty late. This is bad.
Hey.
Yeah. This is the latest we've ever talked about Hollywood. For sure.
That's fine.
It's all right. We're we're forgotten about a lot over here on this coast.
We have nice things to say. I have some not so nice things to say too, but I have nice things to say.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
What he said.
So
let's get into this.
We're going to do it how we always do. We're going to rank the zones as their own thing. I don't know why we bother, but we will.
Hollywood had zones?
Shocking.
It never has zones.
There were scare actors and props.
Hollywood had entrance, and it had...
I liked entrance. Entrance was fun.
Entrance.
Hey, it had one zone.
Entrance. Okay, we'll get there.
And then, of course, we will rank the houses where we include Terror Tram this year, the Exterminators, in that ranking. So see how it does against houses, usually a bit lower. We'll see if that changes this year. I think we liked it.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear you guys' ranking.
Larry Larva. I love you.
We had a Terror Tram first timer this year, so I'm really interested to see what he thinks of that compared to houses.
We had a Hollywood first timer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just said Terror Tram.
Well, I mean, that was... yeah. Let's rank our zones. I'm kidding. Let's talk about them first. Do we have to? I mean...
Yes.
Okay. We'll start with toys. Which one was that, Jonathan?
Which Jonathan?
Which Jonathan?
Hollywood Jonathan or Orlando
Either
Jonathan?
one can answer. You both know.
Hollywood West or Jonathan West or Jonathan East?
That was the one in the center, right? The
Yes,
second
that one was
zone.
right by technically the second zone after the entrance zone.
Yeah, 'cause
With
they
the
had
big props.
They had like the pile of toys on
the
the
Yeti.
Yes.
on the flame
okay.
arch.
They
That-
had
okay.
quote unquote scenic
um,
tied to it. Yes, and it was right by the flame towers.
somehow the most memorable thing I have from that zone is the fucking scarecrow. Not even anything from that
It's
zone.
not even part of it.
So-
Wait a
And
second.
it's not. It's a roamer.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's crazy. My most memorable thing of this zone has nothing to do with this zone.
Well, okay. It's really hard for me to know which one was which zone.
The one where the flame tower was.
No, I know, but they all were together.
If they were in full white and they had chainsaws, they were ghosts.
That's
They
ghosts,
were all
right?
together.
Yes, but if they were in all white and with chainsaws,
They were a ghost.
they were the ghosts.
Ghosts.
But if they were not all white and did not have a chainsaw, they were a
Correct.
toy.
They
Toys.
were a toy.
Correct.
There was-
This is-
They both had Z's, yeah.
I
And
just
there was
remember.
even a toy maker.
No.
Bonus points if you can identify who that was.
I can't
I-
identify anything except Scarecrow. And
I
it's not
couldn't-
part
yeah.
of the zone.
I couldn't even tell you which one was. There was a monkey. There was definitely a monkey toy, like
Yeah.
character.
That-
I remember that because the monkey and the crow were dancing. You can check that out on our TikTok.
Is
Cute.
he the one who was on top of the toy pile? There was a big
No, that was a
monkey guy.
Yeti.
Oh, is that a
Yeah.
Yeti?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a Yeti. But I don't. So I just called this one. I kept calling it Toys Ghosts Dolls the whole time we were there because I couldn't remember what the fuck it was. So that's how I ranked it.
It was toys, right? Because now I'm questioning everything.
It is toys.
No, it was
We-
toys.
It
We
is
have
toys.
it
It was
written here.
toys.
Toys
know
Ghost
that.
Dolls.
That's right. The speculation was that it was going
Dolls.
to be dolls. That's right. With a Z.
And there were dolls.
That's
There
right.
were dolls.
Okay. I think it was on HN Nightmares map that it was
Mhm.
dolls with a
Mhm.
Z.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think.
just kept.
they got the
calling
Z
it that.
right.
They did. Yeah.
You know why? Because these are spooky.
Z is for Hollywood.
Yeah.
This was the most. It seems like the most TikTokable zone. The zone that got filmed the most that I've seen from Hollywood. Just like scrolling, their ceremony that they have seems to be posted a lot. So I just have more of a vivid memory of it because of those videos that I've seen. And you know, it was fine. It was a Hollywood zone. It was okay, but I remember it because of the TikToks.
Thank you, TikTok.
Thank you, TikTok.
Yep. No, didn't help me. Sorry.
Not at all.
Does anyone have anything actually fun? Jonathan, West Coast Jonathan. You went more than us. Is there anything memorable about the zone that people who only went one night might not latch onto?
I will always give it to at least one of the scare zones, maybe pretty much all of them. There's always a standout scare zone in terms of energy and performance. This year, to me, it was definitely toys. I think that the performers were doing the best they could with what they were given, and even some really embodied the roles and kind of added to them. Like my favorite for the season definitely was the little doll with her knife. She was
I
definitely.
do remember her.
She, I mean, you're a doll and you have a knife, but then she took it and she made it super cute and adorable. And, major props to the toys for that. I am forever going to be of the opinion that the scare zones are the weakest thing in Hollywood, about Hollywood. And it's unfortunate because the talent usually likes to really go ham. And I think I just want them to have more to do. And I want the scare zones to feel more like scare zones.
Mm-hmm. That'd be nice. Doesn't
Yeah.
seem like Murdy's interested at all, though. Unfortunately.
No.
So let's talk about ghosts, which I remember even less of. Apparently, they wear all white and have chainsaws. So
Mhm. and blood splatter on their
yeah.
outfits
What a-
because
Ghosts.
get blood splatter.
Yeah.
Well, the
Apparently.
chainsaws, Jonathan.
And yeah, that's true. That's true. You're right.
So
So it should have been poltergeists with the Z because they can actually
Oh, yeah.
manipulate objects.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the difference between a ghost and a poltergeist?
I think so. Yeah,
Wow.
a ghost is just like a spiritual apparition.
Casper is a ghost, not
Correct.
a poltergeist. Now we're speaking my language. Do you know Casper had a poorly done Christmas movie?
What?
We watched it this season. I swear to God, it is the last Christmas movie on the Peacock Christmas section.
Oh my God. How
We
did I
watched
miss
it.
that?
I'm a big Casper fan. Not
Is
as
it
a
like the same Casper, like the Christina Ricci Casper? Is like that type of Casper?
yeah, but I cannot confirm or deny if it is the same voice, but it feels like it. Feels about right. I kept describing it as a Mucinex commercial. That was the way it was animated. And I will not elaborate any further. We should get back to Hollywood.
The main thing I remember about Casper is I had their trading cards, and I collected like nearly every single one. I don't know why, but I like my hyper obsession was like collecting these trading cards.
Nice.
The Casper movie. That's all I remember about that movie.
I'm glad I could cause this tangent.
And that's all we have to say about ghosts.
We're big fans of Ghosts, but not these.
That's the review for The Zone. Casper's a great movie.
I'm more fond of Casper meets Wendy, but moving on.
What I can honestly say about this zone, though, no one tried to kick me in the nuts this year, so
No.
That's
I was
very
a
nice.
little
a
disappointed.
net positive in one way, but a net negative in the other. I don't know how to view that.
No, but there was a zone where we kept getting fake hit with a shovel,
There is. Like it kept happening.
like constantly.
A
It's
lot.
like the only thing that.
Are we moving on? No other thing on ghosts.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
Ghosts.
honest. I don't remember shit from this
Yeah.
zone at all. So I
I-
cannot even picture it in
didn't
my
exist.
head.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll give anybody $10 right now if they can tell me one more thing about The Zone.
It is at the
Mm,
I can
front
tell
of
you
the
more about
park.
Casper trading cards.
I can tell you I didn't like the makeup. I remember that.
Sure. Yeah.
That's about it.
All right.
All right, moving on. Yeah, let's go. So of course, the only real scare zone, if we're being completely honest, in this park is El Terror de los Mamias, and it was the same scare zone it was the year before. So there's.
Down to the damn background music.
Why was La Llorona speaking to us in this zone?
I
So
have no
much.
clue.
It was so much. Wasn't she in the zone?
She popped in every now and then.
Yeah, I feel
She
like
wasn't like a main staple of it. I almost kind of wanted her to be like the Green Witch, where like she walks through the zone and people like all the other performers like cower in her presence. But I never saw anything that interesting happen, unfortunately.
that
Yeah,
happened.
didn't John Murray make a big deal that La Llorona was going to be like at the event in some way? Like at
Yeah,
some point?
and she was in that zone where it was like the oh god, I'm blanking on the name of it, but where they sell
Peacock
the what was it?
Wait, are we talking about like the Peacock area where like Bride was?
No, but it's in that same vein. It's the Dia de los Muertos area, of course.
Oh yeah.
Where they have like the bar and the food. She kind of posted up there a lot with
like-
another sugar skull character, and they hung out there. So that was pretty cool though, because I got to take a picture with her, which is a lot of fun.
There you go.
Oh, that's
How do you
where
say
our
any questions
blinky
in
cups were.
Spanish? Is that what she said?
They had David S.
Hey,
Pumpkins.
he
Like,
says
we
it too.
saw him.
Preguntas.
Yep.
Anything other to say about it than it was the same thing and done worse because it was the same thing?
They were aggressive. That is very positive. It was the same thing over and over again. But we were also circling them over and over again, going through a house. So I just think we were also over it at that point. They were in the way of
I
getting
will
back to
say
the house.
this much: I wish that if they were going to bring back the music anyways, that it would have just been the same scare zone as last season.
Agreed.
Because that one, in my opinion, I'll get into it more when we rank it, but in my opinion, last year's scare zone was heads and tails over this one in terms of just like costuming and then story, all that.
I believe it was my favorite Hollywood zone I've ever experienced, actually.
Someone please remind
Fair.
me what was there last year.
It was Pueblo
del
del Terror.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I
Yeah.
could not think of the name. I knew it was in the same realm. Just could not.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
They really
Yeah.
like
Agreed.
terror.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of terror.
It rolls off the tongue.
Literally.
Yeah.
All right, let's rank them. Get this out of the way.
Do it.
I guess I need my phone.
Who wants to start us with their number 3?
We all have to have
Is
the
it
same
is it
number
all?
3, right?
I don't know. Mike might have picked a random one.
I really can't decide between these other. So yeah, Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost number 3. Everyone else? on
Ghost
that?
is number 3 for me
Yeah.
as well.
I'm not gonna lie, when I ranked these, I put Toys Dolls Ghosts at number 3 and I put Crows at number 2 because that was a zone in my heart. Because the Crows were so much better than both of those zones.
Yeah.
So that's how I did it.
All right, fair.
It's fair. Yeah.
So Ghost at number 2, everyone. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Ye-
No,
Toys.
no.
3.
Wait.
Toys is
Wait.
number.
Wait,
Wait.
I said Ghost number. Ghost.
You said Ghost number.
I'm sorry, Toys number 2. Sorry.
Yes.
See, Toys Dolls Ghosts.
Same
You don't
shit.
even know what that
It's
is?
the same.
They're all number 3.
I actually
Oh, no.
have Terror de las Momias at number 2.
Whoa.
friend.
Oh.
I understand why, but no.
Especially again compared to Pueblo del Terror, Pueblo had a variety in performers. It had really great energy, and although Momias had a little bit more scenic wise going, I mean it was very difficult to tell all the characters from each other, and everyone was kind of doing the same damn thing. So
Hmm.
again, they were given directions. That was the directions that they were given, and I think that was a bad choice.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
the controversy begins.
No, I don't think you're that far off.
No, I mean, yeah. So, mommy,
Mommy.
Oh.
okay.
Rhea?
Momias.
Rhea.
Rhea?
Momias is probably number 1 for the other 4 of us, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's a very reluctant one still, to be fair,
Mhm.
because it only wins because of its scenic. It kind of continues the vibe coming out of Monstros. It just feels more like a scare zone vibe, where Toys was just kind of random chaos, which can be fun at moments, but doesn't make it the better scare zone overall to me.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I've definitely got a rebuttal, but I want everyone else to get a chance.
I don't know. I just didn't like any of the zones, and one had to be first. And I liked my experiences in this zone better because I was so confused in Toys, Dolls, Ghosts. And I will forever be confused. But my biggest complaint is that this year, like normally the makeup in Hollywood is the zones just felt like muddy messes, especially Momias. I felt like some of those appliances and masks were painted real bad. But that's just my opinion. What do I know?
Fair.
It's so weird having, that we got to do the RIP tour, because usually when I go to Hollywood before, I didn't have a lot of free time, so I had spent no time in the zones at all. I was just like zoom, just heading to the houses. So actually having like 20, I think we were like at least in there for like 15 minutes or so, getting footage, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Let's not talk about it. But we were in there for like, I think at least 15 minutes in this particular zone. And I was just walking back and forth. I'm like, it's fun. It's all right. But just spending more time, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm good. Like, I get it. It's a zone. It's fine. It didn't leave a lasting impression. It was okay.
Yeah. Momias is honestly the only one I remember, and I was completely sober the entire night. So I don't think I had anything to drink that entire night.
We were just sleepy.
And it was 3 months ago. So the only things that really, really stand out to me are the real memorable things, and I remember this happening. All the others I don't quite remember.
All right.
Well,
rebuttal time.
yeah, Toys is number 1 for me. Because that one, ironically enough, Duff, felt more like a scare zone to me.
Ooh.
There was a little bit of a story there with the the toy maker and all of his toys. You had to stick around, unfortunately, to really capture it or really see it. But anytime the toy maker, who was a gentleman with a really ugly face, but he was wearing like overalls, had like one of those newspapers for sale hats on, and he had like a mallet with him. Anytime he would walk up to the toys would stop in place, and he would like fix them up. He would like adjust their costume, adjust their wig, give them a weapon, whatever, and then they would carry on. Again, you had to be there at certain times to catch it. It wasn't a thing that was really highlighted, but I got to give Toys credit for that. Also, the opening ceremony that happens every couple of, I think it was like every half hour. I think that's a great addition, and it's more storytelling than Hollywood has ever done ever in a scare zone. And overall, again, the performers to me, they all had like little gimmicks that they were trying, again, within the really, really specific confines of what Universal allows them to do. But I think mostly led by the doll, I had such a memorable time in that scare zone because of people like her who are taking these like really watered down concepts and actually giving them a little bit of life. Granted, I did stay in that zone more often. I did have more time to hang around in comparison to you guys. So I totally understand why Terror de las Momias stuck out to you guys. But overall, Toys is number one for me.
Well, you sold it to me. What a great salesman.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Toys number one. Yep, cool.
I wish I had seen all of
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
That'd have been nice.
Yeah.
Toys, Dolls,
Sucker.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 30-month financing, 0 APR. Let's go ahead and sign. Don't read anything else.
So can I just say all or number three? Does that work? Can I do that? All right, I'm doing that. Thank you. Anything about zones before we get the fuck out of here?
No.
Do better, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Do better.
Nobody would have to care about them.
There is zero excuse to why there can't be more love put into the zones. You've got amazing performers. Do better. That's all I'm going to say.
And that's going to lead us into something that I've never said before for Hollywood, but I'm happy to talk about. And that's shows.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Hell
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we start with the one that the 365 crew did not do, which is Blumhouse Behind the Screams?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You guys didn't get to
No.
experience it.
We-
You had an RIP tour.
Jonathan, we
they
had
didn't take us there.
priorities. They said you're on your own, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said you could go see it later if you'd like.
And you had to go in the express line. There was no RIP line for that, I remember.
And we're too bougie for that, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have
Yeah,
standards, Jonathan, if we're paying for something.
Listen, I only said it because I thought that you guys would get like instant access priority seating because that was literally the best way to see it instead of waiting any longer than 5 minutes for that show.
Oh God.
Which good attempt, Hollywood. I appreciate the effort. I see why they did it. I think it achieved its goal of eating people and spitting them out for little pockets of time throughout the night. But I apologize to anybody who waited more than 5 or 10 minutes for that because woof.
That thing had lines when we were there, too.
It did. Often.
Oh, my God. No.
And I felt bad. Anytime it was, I think the most I saw it go up to myself was an hour and a half, which is yikes, bro.
Oh, wow.
Was it the same Megan dance that we got, or was it different?
It was different.
Okay.
Some of the I think because of the character, the nature of the character, some of the choreo was the same.
Yeah.
It was definitely though presented in a very fun way. I think honestly, the Megan dance that we got in Hollywood was a lot of fun. Especially there wasn't a bad seat in the house for it, which is kind of fun because they kind of moved around the theater. So that was a lot of fun. I'll give them that much.
Okay. Interesting.
Something.
I'm bummed you guys didn't get to see it in person just because I'd want to hear your take on it. But again, they tried something, and I think if they do something along these same veins, maybe a little more T2 3D, a little more of that sprinkled throughout it, would be kind of cool. I see what they tried to do, but I think people were deceived, unfortunately.
I'm
Yeah.
sad to miss anything, even if it's not great. So it does suck that we
Same.
couldn't make it.
Yeah, the completionist in me kind of wished it was worked into the tour just a little bit. But it was not worth the whatever wait it was.
Yeah, I think it was
posting
like
that.
45-ish the whole night or something when we were there. Yeah. We're like, I'm just going to run Monstrose 8 more times.
Well, don't worry. I think it might make a comeback next year. I really do think.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to promise we'll see it, because if it's 45 minutes, I'm still not doing it. But we'll try.
We're not going to run straight there when we get out of the RIP. I can't even get the sentence out. Move on.
Okay, and the one that we all saw that I am excited to talk about, The Purge, Dangerous Waters. So they finally have used the water. Well, not they've done it previously a long time ago. I did not see it. I have now seen a show in the Waterworld Theater for Halloween Horror Nights.
We almost missed this one too. We had to run to it. Like our tour had to.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody's making it seem like Duff and I were at the bar for a little bit longer than maybe we should have.
I wasn't going to say anything.
That doesn't sound like you guys
just
at all.
There was another guy with
We
you.
weren't even the last one back, remember?
That's true. But Duff and can we talk about the Blinky Cups first? I really wanted to talk about them.
Shove it in. Let's go.
The reason we were taking a little longer is we were at the Dia de los Muertos bar and we got, I forgot what drinks we got, but their Blinky Cups there are liquid activated, which is insane.
And the bartender watched us make a face when they poured the first one. And they're like, we're like, what? They're like, yeah, watch this. And got the next one, did it again. We're like, oh my fucking God.
We were both losing our fucking minds.
Amazing.
Over these Blinky Cups that we did not keep. Also, it just kept blinking during the show, which made me so uncomfortable. Like, we couldn't turn the blinking off because it was liquid activated. So your option during the show was to either like hide the cup or just drink it during the fucking Purge show. And that thing was bright. So it gave me social anxiety. So I'm not even gonna lie. They need a button.
That I had a very similar experience, but at Knott's, sitting in Fog Alley, literally like 20 minutes looking for an off switch, looking for a battery, a tab, anything. I didn't know that the cup was water activated, and when I figured that out, I felt like such a fucking idiot, just like sitting there for literally minutes, just I don't know how, what.
I didn't even vocalize any of this, so this is the first time I'm speaking about the anxiety the cup was giving me. But oh my fucking God, because the Waterworld Theater gets dark. So the fucking lights go out and we're all sitting there. And granted, there's other people in the crowd, but Duff and I are sitting next to each other with the camera out and the two fucking flashing lights. So like, we look like douchebags in the fucking RIP section.
To be fair, you would have fit in perfectly for the Purge party that happens at the end. So there's that going for you.
That is true.
That is true.
Yeah, it's true.
But now let's actually talk about the show.
It was a lot of fucking fun. Like a lot of fun.
It was so silly.
Very high energy. Very in your face. Lights going crazy. Like mentioned a second ago. Literal party at the end. Like party atmosphere. It was a really fun way to incorporate a stunt show into an event like this and really make it work.
Yes.
Yeah, it fit right in.
Have you guys seen the Waterworld show during the day?
We did that day.
Yep.
Nice. Well,
which
perfect.
is also so fun.
One of my favorite things. I mean, first of all, Waterworld, the show, is easily my favorite theme park show like ever. Nothing tops it. It's amazing. It hits every time. And with that, I have the show like pretty memorized. I feel like beat for beat at this point. I've watched it so many damn times in my life. I loved seeing how they repurposed all of the pyro hits and all of the little stunt moments from the daytime show for the Purge show. I thought it was a perfect use of literally every trick in that arena. And the way that they kind of rearranged it all so that it felt new and fresh in terms of like where it happens in the show, I thought was phenomenal. I honestly hope this show comes back every season because I'll be there every season to watch it. And like you said, Duff, it was a perfect use of, I feel like, the IP for a show at Horror Nights.
Mhm.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Honestly, probably my favorite, maybe minus the scare zone, but my favorite like implementation of Purge that I've seen at the event, like both coasts, because I didn't get to see like just the Purge house or anything like that, and I did love the zone, but I had a lot of fun in this show, and like I'm glad that we saw it during the day because, like you said, Jonathan, like they reused a lot of it, and as a theater person, I was like, oh, that was in the daytime show, and like, oh, okay, that's from that. They just added lights to that boat or that jet ski, but like they repurposed it in a way that if you had no idea, it was just a Purge show that existed in the park. And it fit in so well. I loved it.
Heck yeah.
I love
I
how campy some of the dialogue was. Like it
Yes.
knew it was a
Mhm.
silly concept, and it kind of embraced it, and I really appreciated that.
And the way they use blood bags out there is so much better than the hanging. Let's just come on. Let's
Oh,
talk about
yeah.
that. Their stunts are actually good.
I have purged the hanging from my memory.
Well, we still haven't. Some of us still haven't talked about knots fully. So, boy, is it fresh on my brain.
Yeah, the first blood hit that they do with the dude's wife's hand,
Yeah.
it got a reaction every
Mm.
single time that I watched the show, and it was always like this collective, oh, it was just a groan. I loved it, man. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
I truly appreciate how much effort they put into the show. That similar things we've seen HHN and even more specifically Hollywood, unfortunately, kind of like the smaller parts of the event just get fully overlooked and
Right.
put little effort into. It seems like this is like what they put the most into the whole event, to be honest.
To be fair, yeah.
So
I
yeah,
got-
they can keep bringing it back every year. Same show. I don't care. It was great.
I got maybe a hot take. This is probably my favorite HHN stage show that I've seen. Not
Wow.
Lagoon, not counting all shows. Lagoon's like a different category, but this is definitely my favorite stage type show.
He didn't see Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
I did not see Bill and
Ah.
Ted. That's
So
it, yeah.
we got to add that in there for anyone who forgets. He
That's
never saw Bill
important.
and
That's
Ted.
so I don't get
Yeah.
killed.
Sure.
I
Good call, John.
it is my favorite post Bill and Ted era HHN show. How about
Okay,
that?
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that. Ooh, I kind of want to go rewatch it now. I didn't, but I really loved it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it might be Duff. And
Although
Jonathan.
I do redacted altered states was really good, so I'd have to think about that. But it's really good. It's really good. Don't worry about
Yeah,
that. It's really
we
good.
don't talk about redacted.
I'm really glad to hear you guys enjoyed it
Oh,
because it
yeah.
was a first in a long time that Hollywood tried something like that, and I think the fact that you guys loved it being Orlando natives, but then also that the stadium was full every single night means that it was a big hit, and I love to see stunt people getting work, especially in that arena. So I really hope they bring it back every season because it's perfect. Jabberwocky's who, you know what I mean?
You got to assume if it's packing out each show, they have to.
It's
Because you know what people do before they go into a show? They grab food, they grab beer,
Right.
grab a drink.
Right.
They're spending money to go sit there and watch a show. So if it did that well, it's got to come back.
Heck yeah.
Jess, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you have like a woo lady in your ear the whole night?
I did. Oh no, we had like a gun woo lady. Remember?
Oh, that's what it was.
Anytime that they would bring out like a
yeah.
machine
Huh?
gun, they would be like, "Fuck yeah,
There
woo!"
was like a line is like, in a world where there are no gun laws.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like,
They're like, oh, this lady's
Oh,
from
she-
Orange County. Shit.
She's from Huntington Beach specifically. That's a Huntington Beach woman for sure.
Mike, I forgot about that. Oh wow, yeah, I did. I totally did, but I liked it that much. I blocked that entire moment out.
Yes. And the first one, like, wasn't just a woo. It was like a
Oh, it was
yeah.
like
Woo!
a guttural. And I'm sitting there full social anxiety with my flashing cup. And this is going on behind me. Just to set the scene.
Well, no one else made a peep.
No one else, just this woman. So I was having anxiety when she should have been the one having the social anxiety. But yeah, Purge.
Any last thing about shows before we move on? Because we are not going to rank these. We don't need to. We already know what's happening anyways.
One little tidbit that I have is that I miss the hell out of the Castle Theater, and it's very weird walking through the park and not seeing the Animal Actors Theater and the Castle Theater. It's just going to be weird to me always because those have been there as long as I can remember. So rest in peace, Castle Theater. We miss you.
Hey, I forget Amity Island. It was there forever. You'll forget eventually. It's okay.
Yeah. Isn't today 12 years since Jaws closed at Universal?
Oh
It
my
is.
God.
Aaron posted about it. Yeah.
Damn.
The day we're recording.
I never got to see it, guys.
Oh.
Never. And
Let's
now I'll
go to
never see
Japan.
it overseas
Run.
either.
Now.
I thought it was
Run to
down for an
Japan.
extended refurb or something.
I don't know.
I'll have to
Well,
check.
Extended refurb means it could open and be better.
Hopefully.
Just sneak in and walk around. It's the same thing. All right, let's move on to the next thing to discuss, and that's going to be Terror Tram, The Exterminators, where we were lucky enough to also experience the RIP additional experience. So let's start with the experience as a whole, the base Terror Tram. I think this is my favorite iteration. I know it's my favorite iteration of the Terror Tram I've done. So I thought Larry Larva and the storyline were a shit ton of fun. I think there were a lot of points where, like, basically every other Terror Tram, doesn't matter. That story doesn't matter. You're doing other shit. But I thought the campiness and the goofiness just added so much to it that it made it for just a fun experience without all the additional shit that was available.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in all the years that I've done the Terror Tram, I think it probably is my favorite. I'll have to revisit that once I'm currently writing the history of the Terror Tram Part 2 and 3. So I'll have to revisit
Ooh.
that. But I think it's probably my favorite. So I agree with you, Duff.
Yes, rightfully so. This is what Lawrence deserves. Let's be real.
Lawrence Larva.
Lawrence Larva. That's his formal name. You don't forget that Beetlejuice's real name is Lawrence as well, apparently in the musical. So
They're cousins for sure.
they're this. Yeah, I mean, I fucking loved this Terror Tram. I could not stop giggling like a schoolgirl the whole time. It played to everything I love in the camp and like a grimy main character, very much inspired by Beetlejuice, whether he wants to admit it or not, already. But I loved it. It is my favorite Terror Tram that I've experienced. I mean, I've only done 2, but I really loved it. I could have done without the ending in the set. I wasn't gonna say us, but nope. Yeah, I liked it last year, but it felt disjointed this year.
Well,
yeah, that's fair.
I'll give
Very
you that
much
much
so.
for sure. That's always going to be my problem, though, with that. Because even last year with Hollywood Harry, I mean, it felt a little more at home because it's
Mhm.
Hollywood, it's a movie, but it still felt very out of place for me.
Yeah.
I thought this tram was fantastic. I still don't know if I like last year's or this year's better because last year had a leg up because I really did not like the Purge one. So when last year's was good, I'm like, oh, oh my goodness. So, but this year I was expecting it to be good. So, it has less of a jump, but I still really liked it. I think the amount of, like show scenes they had with the different traps and stuff was just really creative and really fun. The amount of projections they used on the Bates Motel was kind of kind of crazy. The humor really worked. The scares were absolutely there. I thought it was a great experience and a fun use of the bugs trope. I think they did it really well.
Yeah.
I think if Hollywood had a crowd or a fan base that was as dedicated as Orlando's, the little larva in a stroller would probably be like a little boo.
Jonathan, do you want to talk about my son?
Oh, sorry.
No. I just like there everything. I love everything in this thing, but that fucking larva in a stroller with the like yoga mom like pushing. That and the Karen covered in roaches in the Bates Motel are 2 of my favorite like show scenes. I feel like from any haunt this year. It just was so like easy and on the nose, but so funny.
All right, we have something I've been waiting for. Someone finally got to experience the Terror Tram. Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was actually just thinking, the RIP tour experience, I had both highs and lows for me because I didn't actually get on the tram. So I feel like part of it, like we got the videos in our bus, like so I didn't feel like I fully experienced the Terror Tram per se because I didn't actually get on the tram, but I got like the bonus rooms and I got to meet the grabber and stuff with the RIP special experiences too. So, but overall, I really enjoyed the Terror Tram. I just feel like I cheated a little bit because I didn't actually get on the tram.
That's
I
fair.
guess that's fair
It
because
is
I've
a bit different of an experience that way.
It
I've
is.
never been on the Terror Tram then either.
I will say it's well worth not waiting in the lines to get on it.
And again, to be absolutely fair, did you guys do the tram experience, the studio tour during the day?
Yes.
Yes.
Then that at least balances out. The
Yeah.
Terror Tram itself, to me, is the path. It's not the actual ride vehicle. But I hear where you're coming from, Mike. But believe me, I will say, you guys got the better experience for sure.
I'll take the trade off, right? I'll definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you next year on the shuttle, right, John?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Come on, you guys got to do it with us.
Oh man, maybe.
Come
I'm kind of
on.
rethinking the way that I do Horror Nights Hollywood because of the wait times. So it might be like maybe like a 2 and done for me this season. We'll see. Potentially though, I do want to. I do want to experience that, but it's so fucking expensive.
Yeah, it is. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Sure. But my trouble is always that I'm a repeat visitor for the most part. But again, that may change this season. We'll see.
Well, we'll be in contact.
Okay. Now, quick question. Sorry. Are we kind of giving our thoughts and then we're going to just kind of quickly go through our rankings later? Is that how this is working?
Yeah. So get out.
Okay.
We could, when we do the rankings, you could talk about it a bit, but this is where you want to get everything off your chest.
Gotcha. So one last thing I want to mention, a very interesting observation I made this season. Although it seems like we all love the Terror Tram, I think the people in general didn't give two shits about it.
Really?
Yeah. Every time that I went to Horror Nights Hollywood, everything would be at hour and a half, 2 hours. But the Terror Tram would be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Oh yeah,
walk on.
You guys were telling me about this when you guys came for closing weekend.
It honestly blew me away. I never really even saw that because in years prior, I feel like the Terror Tram would always have like a 45-minute wait at very minimum. Like it would be pretty busy. But most of the times that I went, the tram was like a walk on. It was so weird. So I don't know what that means for the future of non-IP Terror Trams. They may have to change their strategy there a little bit to attract more people to it.
That's
sad. I kind of overheard a lot of casual people like being like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" they did not know who.
It's fine.
Like they're like, I guess they expected like Jordan Peele or something. Like
wasn't the large group of people that was on our specific shuttle like making fun of the video, like in a not a fun way, but in like a
they were not understanding it.
Yeah.
I think the camp did go over a lot of people's heads, to be honest with you. The Hollywood crowd is a little bit different. The mentality is a little bit different for sure, and I think I don't know. I'm just worried that Murdy will take this as we'll see. They don't like original characters out here.
Oh no!
Yeah, and everyone loved an IP that none of us really thought were great on this side. So we'll talk about that later.
I'd rather not.
Or we already talked about it on the Schmitties, so you might know. Okay, so the fun part. Let's keep going because our RIP experiences I thought added so much this year. I thought they were cool in the past. Don't get me wrong. This year we got a whole fucking house.
Yeah.
So cool.
A whole
so cool,
fucking
man.
house. Like I say a whole house, but like
a mini
legitimately
house.
like maybe like a quarter to a third of a house size.
Yeah.
Like, it was like 4 or 5 rooms.
Went through rooms, came out. I thought we were done. No. We went the fuck back in.
No, it was like 3 or 4 minutes in there.
Yeah, it was
Like
crazy. Half of that, not
it,
half of that, but a minute of it was like wrapping back around. But still, like there was like
still
7 or 8 total rooms. It was crazy.
with lots of Larrys.
Not
It
just
was like not super fleshed out. To be fair,
No.
it was more like kind of an old school haunt maze kind of thing. But it was just such a fun additional experience, and to get so much like FaceTime with that icon, if you will.
Yeah. And I mean, the amount of scares in this mini house was absolutely like incredible. Like I got wrecked in there. More than I did in just some houses in general. And that mini house, I
Wow.
got destroyed. Almost every scare got me. I just felt like it was filled with actors, just filled to the brim
Yeah.
with actors. It was a very fun experience.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Yeah, I don't know if they pulled them from like the street or whatever to like come in because they're like, okay, all of the RIP tours are going to be coming in this 30-minute window or whatever, or if they just staff it like that all night. I can't imagine they staff it like.
I
But
mean,
there were
where
a
else
ton
would
of
you stuff
people.
all those Larrys? Like
I don't know.
where else would
I'm
they
gonna
just
be
have like
quiet.
8 Aries or 8 Larrys chilling?
That's a lot of Larrys.
Yeah, they had a
That's
lot
not
of,
enough, Larrys. No, there were a lot. There were a
Yeah,
lot in the tram
Yeah.
path too though. Like
Yeah.
I do feel like, and maybe it's because I enjoyed this one more. I felt like it went by a lot faster, but I also felt like there were more sets along the path this year.
Mm.
Because
There
you had the spider
definitely-
alley and all of
Yeah,
that.
there definitely were, and even that. So, you guys didn't do? Did they pass you through the incubator, on your RIP tour? Maybe you guys skipped it in lieu of the maze. But the
Mm.
general
we
public
did.
went
The
down
hatchery?
the hatchery.
Oh yeah.
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 So it was like the little maze. So it was after the War of the World set. We went off to the side, off to the left, because they were like, RIP, RIP, like screaming at us. So we went over there and then we went in the maze and it exited us right in the same kind of spot where we started. So then we went right into the hatchery after that.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, the hatchery is probably the most scenic they've done for the Terra Tram in years, in like a long time.
It was cool.
So that was really surprising to see, and I hope they continue that because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it. They were also spraying us with water. Larry sprayed me right in the face.
Ooh. Well,
That was on camera, but not anymore.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But Hollywood's it's like a splash zone event.
Oh my god. Yeah, Hollywood
get
was
wet a
so
lot.
wet this year.
Yeah, they need to fucking
Oh
cut it
my
out with that,
well,
man.
sounds like nightmare fuel.
No, that's
No, there were like 6 videos of the camera and my phone taking water straight to the lens, like multiple ones.
yeah, Chuckley especially. That was like a water park in there.
Chucky's Ultimate Water Park.
Oh my god.
All right, we got more Terror Tram to go to. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, you're going to have the Nope sets. Us. It was very similar, if not almost the same exact thing as last year. It's fun. I think it's fun. But as mentioned,
Oh, I loved it.
disjointed. Right? Oh yeah, Mike, what did you think about it? 'Cause you didn't see it last year. Or-
I mean, yeah,
The year
I thought it
before.
was fantastic. I mean, I really like those properties. I love both Nope and Us, and I thought it was fantastic. Wished we were able to stay in there a little bit longer. I felt like, as maybe it was because of the RIP tour, we were rushed through there quite quickly. But,
No, they were
yeah.
rushing people through this year. I think John has
Yeah.
a story about that. He doesn't have to tell, but that they were kind of pushing people through this year in general in that area, right?
No, I could tell a little bit of it. Yeah, it was definitely a pet peeve of mine, especially considering how empty the Terror Tram was consistently. Maybe it speaks volumes to the operations. Maybe that's why it was so empty. But for the first time, I think ever, they were really pushing people forward to an annoying level, really, especially considering that there was nobody in line. I don't enjoy that they're doing that, especially considering this is probably the most effort they've ever put into a Terror Tram in like the past couple of years. Let me enjoy it, man. Like, let me just take my time with it. And Mike, to your point with the Us portion, I mean, the performers were giving it their all there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were just moving us way too fast. I mean, I tried to stop to take a photo in front of Jupiter's Claim, and the fucking team member in that area was being incredibly pushy, got in front of the camera so that we couldn't take a photo. It would have been a 10-second stop for a photo that turned into a whole ordeal because he was instructed to, at all costs, even his life, to keep us moving forward.
I'm surprised you were able to see the team member when you only can see his eyes because he's wearing the Murdy burqa. That's another thing about Hollywood. I was shocked by that they put them in cloaks.
Yeah, Mike was a little disturbed by that at the first couple houses.
There's a lot of there's a lot of culture shock.
Yeah.
Getting used to it. No one warned me about the Murdy burkas.
All right.
I didn't understand why, like, as someone who is used to like people in like bright orange shirts sometimes, just like I didn't understand why they had to be like you can't see them, like they're clearly there, like I don't.
Well, some
to
of
catch
them
you by surprise.
Oh no, some of them scare the shit out of me, but some of them in Hollywood, they like wear the hood and some of them don't. But then some of them wear the hood over their entire face.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like they literally, you can only see their eyes. Some of them take it like very seriously. Like they're like,
they don't move either. Like they are on the. I am now a part of this wall.
That's the Hollywood exclusive right there, baby. That's the gift that keeps on giving. Because I can't tell you how many times I get scared by line control out there, just turning a corner and be like, "Oh fuck, that's somebody." Huh?
That was me all night.
Yeah,
or they'll slowly move their hand to be like this way. I feel like I'm being led to my death or something.
I'm pretty sure, Mike, didn't you ask us at one point? Like it was a couple houses in, you were like, "So what the fuck is up with the hoods?"
Right?
And we all were like, "Oh yeah."
It's to
like
keep
no
you
one explained
specifically
it.
on edge, Mike.
Yeah,
I think we warned him about so many other things, but not that.
So I'll continue. The terror trap does not end for us RIPers because we got another additional experience. And if you want to talk about disjointed, we've gone from all these sets, Larry Larva, Nope, now meet and greet with the grabber from the Black Phone.
With his van.
With his van.
That was a fun little moment.
It was fun, though. I was very worried about it. I was like, why? Why is this here? But he was fun. He was a lot of fun. He called me Johnny a lot, and that was disturbing, but it was
You
fun.
were Johnny, yeah.
You got singled out by the grabber.
Yeah.
I'm jealous you guys got to do that because honestly, that's such a cool little moment to give you guys as part of the experience. Now, did they do the special moment at us at all for RIP? Or was this in lieu of it?
This was the special moment.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, not a bad choice at all.
Yeah, no. I preferred the us one, or the Nope one, if you will, overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was really fun. This grabber was a really good grabber.
Oh, yeah. He was creepy.
Like, I was like, are you fucking Ethan Hawke? What the fuck?
Yeah. He was really good. I remember that.
He was so good. It was like uncomfortable for everyone to watch. He had singled Duff out, but like it was really uncomfy. He was, and then we all took a very weird photo.
Yeah. He was so good at the, talking nice and sweet and then snapping fully at it. Like, he was so good, so quick. I was really impressed.
That's cool.
By how good he was.
Yeah.
But I preferred having an actual fitting experience the year prior in Nope.
But I would have been upset had it just been the same experience.
I think. Yeah, I think it would have to be something a little different. And it was something different, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Another video we'll never see. Him staring into our soul.
You just brought something up, though. We talked about the Blumhouse show earlier, and I totally forgot that they had the grabber out there as well, so that people can like grab photos with him. But man, let me tell you, I felt so bad for that guy because he especially on, well, I mean, I guess every night in Hollywood is a busy night now. On busy nights, on busier nights, I mean, it was a sea of people surrounding him on every direction. And there he is with his little balloons, literally just surrounded at all times by people. That was rough, man. I feel like they got to rethink that a little
that's
bit.
not. Nope.
And it created like a ton of traffic as well in the midway because, of course, people were trying to. It's already kind of a tight walkway, and then you have a bunch of people who are now stopping to watch the grabber do his thing, and then even try to grab photos with him. Man, it was chaos. It was chaos.
Park flow is already such an issue. You can't do shit like that there.
No,
at least in
So-
that, you have to find like a far off area to do it. If you
Yeah, so you guys definitely got the superior experience, which is nice. I'm glad to hear it.
Any last things about Terror Train before we move on?
Can't wait to see it next year.
I love you, Larry.
With a big Terror Live P this time, I'm sure.
Probably.
Purge again.
Probably.
No, we don't need a Purge Terror Tram and a Purge stunt show.
Yeah. Speaking of big terrible IPs, our first house.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Oh, I know where you're going with this one.
Wait, where are we going?
Stranger Things 4. The
Yep,
big dog
there it
IP
is.
at the event. Okay, I definitely overplayed it. I don't feel that negative about the house overall.
Yeah.
In fact, at the moment, I think I liked it better than Orlando's. I think I've gone back on that. Like it took me like a couple days after to figure out. I was like, it was just something different. It wasn't better because I was so disappointed by Orlando's. Anyways, I think there are some things they did do well. I think they just kind of nailed the vibe of a lot of scenes because in Orlando's, what we got was basically still frame of these few select scenes, skip a shit ton of stuff, and call it a day. I think they like let the scenes play out more naturally. They were actually scenes happening rather than just Vecna, lady I don't remember from the show.
I guess there was a theatrical edge to it, if you will.
But they don't have necessarily the big scenes down very well at all, actually. So I don't know. It felt very similar to Orlando's, and I was just fully let down. I feel like it felt like it just was like, hey, Stranger Things characters in some of the scenes. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of liked this one. I liked that we got, like you said, Duff, we got to a lot of the stuff that we didn't necessarily get in Orlando. We got in Hollywood. We got the snowball. We got going to the desert, even if it is the way it was done.
I was like, that was a snow globe, like a glorified snow globe room.
Mike, I'm gonna need you to stop, dude. I'm just.
I don't think you're defending anything right now.
They tried to give us
Ixnay.
Gold star.
And their Vecna was actually like moved, right? Like
they had a Twitcher.
Yeah, they had a Twitch. Yeah.
In the finale room with 11, they definitely did. I'll give you that. They did have a Twitcher. Ours was supposed to twitch. It just kind of hovered.
At least at the time I went, he was more than twitching. He was like going. He was going.
Yes,
yeah.
He's definitely jogging in place for sure.
Yeah.
I'm
I liked it.
I'm gonna agree with Mike here. I'm not gonna say I really liked it. I liked this version of Stranger Things 4. I still think both houses have the problem of following the Vecna story. I think that was a silly choice, and it's gonna affect both. It kind of limits a lot of what they can do. I think if we're comparing both, I think Hollywood just did it better in terms of flow. We were jumping from place to place, but it felt like we were jumping from place to place a lot less than we were in Orlando. I think the transitions were a lot better. I like a lot of the effects they used. I like that they actually have like in the 11, one scene in the rainbow room, you actually see like the bodies on the floor, which I was so shocked Orlando didn't have. That's like, I think that's one of the most important parts of that scene. Shows how terrible Vecna /1 is. And I really like that was there. I like that we actually saw the Creel house. I was so shocked we didn't in Orlando. It was a flat, but I mean, I still think it worked in the moment. And I really enjoyed it. It was a good time, and I think overall, it was a better experience than Orlando's was.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm not gonna say by
Okay.
much, but it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I think I may have liked Orlando's a little bit more, but I didn't hate this one.
I'll take that, Mike, for sure. Especially given last seasons in Hollywood. Ugh.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was.
No, I've
Ooh.
heard terrible things about.
So I think with being a Hollywood native, I that is well, not a Hollywood native, but Hollywood being my home park. I think I was definitely heavily influenced by the fact that seasons 2 and 3 were terrible out here. Probably easily one of the worst mazes we've ever had out here. So it definitely gave this one a lot of bonus points for being better, but the bar was set incredibly low. But I think overall, I do like how it captured the mood, the feel of the season. And yeah, it did have some things that Orlando did not. I think overall, I don't know. Comparing them is hard coast to coast. I will say for Hollywood, though, it was a great Stranger Things house. My biggest gripe with it, though, is that our version constantly had performers missing. And it was kind of like the same performers time and time again. And a couple of those being Vecna's, where I'm like, okay, if there's one that you don't want to lose, it's the guy on the shirt.
We kept losing Vecna's too.
Interesting.
To be fair,
Interesting.
I lie in the realm of I disliked both coasts equally.
Oh, damn.
I mean, that's technically
think-
my realm too. To be
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I mean, we usually lie in that area. We dislike things equally usually. But it's not that this isn't the worst Stranger Things house I've seen. Orlando's wasn't the worst I've seen, but I think that they both did equally poorly in things. And they both had things that they did better. I liked that we visited the Crail House and things like that in Hollywood. I liked, I guess, the intensity of the finale scene with Eleven and Vecna.
Mhm.
And then Chrissy was an actor, which was fun.
Yeah.
That was like a fun little jump scare. I liked that, I guess, compared to ours, because ours was kind of weird. And then Demogorgon. But it just still is not my favorite. And I don't know if it's just I'm kind of over Stranger Things at this point, but I feel like I know it brings a lot of people in, but so did The Weeknd. And that was something new.
and good.
And and good. And I feel like we could just we could do different good things instead of just resting on something we've done 3 times now on each coast.
Fair.
And I know we're going to get 5, but I would say in the moment I liked this one better than Orlando's, but after finishing out the season, I think I liked our actors better in Orlando. I think that they brought the story to life better. Especially the Max and Lucas scene. I did not like Hollywood's.
Really?
It did not have the intensity that Orlando's had. It was just a very weird scene. It wasn't like in the attic, it was downstairs. It just wasn't my favorite. I thought that the whole point of Orlando including it was like the sadness of that scene. And Hollywood didn't do that.
That makes sense.
I think for me, the biggest missing thing for Hollywood that I think I give the tiniest edge to Orlando for is the immersiveness of the setting itself. Sure, I didn't see the scenes really play out or experience the vibe of what was going on, but there were a few scenes where it's like, oh, I am here. Yes, absolutely. So, like both of Eddie's trailer scenes, I thought they nailed the look. Like it was perfect in Orlando. Yeah. We're in Hollywood. It felt more like they decorated a room a little bit, So, because they did sort of.
It's so hard, man, because like Orlando just nailed those trailers so well that when you go through Orlando's and then you come to Hollywood's and yeah, it's like a half a room. I mean, they built the entire trailer in Orlando because why? Because they could. You know what I mean? They didn't have to. So yeah, that makes Orlando seem just so small. And the fact that he comes out of a door also is like, okay.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I still find it funny that Orlando has both Running Up That Hill and Master of Puppets, the two main songs that everyone expected from this house to come. Hollywood, Murdy's like, no, we didn't pay for any of those. So, nope, sorry.
Yeah. Wait, actually, here's my biggest gripe. And we've talked about how much we all don't love Orlando's implementation of that scene, of the Master of Puppets scene, but Hollywood didn't even do it. They were outside the Krill house.
Yeah, they
Justin and Eddie,
completely skipped it.
and like, how are you going to skip the most iconic scene from this season?
Money.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's a Murdy move, but like, that also just kind of made me, I guess, like Orlando's a little bit more at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, especially when we're comparing sound stages to sound stages, like this one had a great scale for Hollywood. Like the finale, especially in comparison to Orlando's finale. Like Orlando's finale really felt huge, gigantic, because it was. You know what I mean? Like the walls were super high and everything was like totally above you. But here in Hollywood, it was big for Hollywood. And I think overall, it probably stands in like the top 5 of like the coolest big scenes that Hollywood has. But I mean, again, when you compare it to Orlando, it does seem so tiny.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of comparing, but when you do both, I can't help it. It's natural. I have
it stands out. It stands out. Yeah.
Especially when they're very similar treatments. They both follow the same beats.
Yep.
Yeah.
One little thing that is sort of related to the house that I wish Orlando did, and I think really, for some reason, just like really helped my enjoyment of the Hollywood house, has nothing to do with the house itself. It has nothing to do with what was inside of the soundstage. It's the actual line, which we didn't spend much time in because RIP, but the actual line you wait in before you get into that soundstage, just play the entire Stranger Things soundtrack. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a very fun touch that probably helps people get in the mood before entering the house.
It definitely does help, I'll tell you. Especially when you guys didn't get to experience this, but when you go there for early entry and you stay in that queue, like obviously there's a long time where there is no BGM or it's just like Transformers BGM, and then the first song that kicks on is Journey, Separate Ways. And let me tell you, man, it gave me chills every time because it's like, here we go, baby. It's the start of the night.
I love that.
All right. How about we talk about the other big people eating IP that came to Halloween Horror Nights, and The Last of Us, of course. Which
there it is.
Before we went, alls we heard was how good Hollywood's was. How much
Yep.
better it was than our, and it wasn't even like just
Yep.
a slightly. It wasn't a question. It blew it out of the water. Oh,
Yep.
oh no! I could not agree less.
Oh, we're fighting on the pod. All right.
No, I think so.
What?
A lot of people specifically pointed out why they thought it was better too, and that thing is Joel and Ellie. Joel and Ellie.
Oh,
Well,
my
a
God.
big negative for me is Joel and Ellie. 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 Joel. Like, where was the actual
Clicker mannequin.
scares?
Clicker mannequin.
You were just looking at them talk to each other for 90% of the house, and that's what it was. The scenes were small and unimpressive. The clickers were lacking. The scares were fully lacking. There was like nothing. They tried to shroud multiple scenes with just like gunfire. It's like, hey, chaos, yeah, go to the next room, please. There's nothing here. A truck moved. Whoa. No, I'm sorry. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, it was just not immersive in the way that ours was. The sets did not take me there. You can only say that it had a little bit more storytelling because of the show scenes that we got. And I'm really happy for them. But it's really hard for me to look past your house when it's just a bunch of flats with posters on it. And I'm supposed to be immersed in a Pittsburgh hotel. Which I'm glad we went there. I will give, okay, let me do the positives then, actually. I will give the positives. Because I like that we went into the hotel, because that is my favorite scene in the game. I I really like that because we did not get that in Orlando. And I really, really enjoyed, this is a dumb thing to enjoy, but the bloater scene, it's a kill scene from the game when you lose, and it's Joel getting his head ripped apart by a bloater. And that is in Hollywood's house. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was like my favorite moment. I thought
That was honestly my favorite moment.
That was pretty cool. It looked good. It looked very
Right.
gruesome.
And if you didn't know what it was just a victim. And like, obviously he's saying, Ellie, run. But like, if you've played the game, bloaters kill you 1,000 times before you kill them. So like, it was fun to watch that in the house. But beyond that, oh, and the gas masks. You actually got to see Joel like wearing a gas mask in one scene, which we didn't really have. I think they were kind of thrown around in Orlando, but that's a big part of the game too. So there were bits and pieces there where I was like, oh, Murdy got it. Murdy's getting like the frustration of playing the game and like, oh, there it is. And then the sets were just not there. And then you look at Orlando and we were all sets, baby. That is all that house was relying on. And I think that's okay in something like this, like a game where you're used to this big immersive, scene. So I don't like Hollywoods. I'm sorry. I think and the Molotov was silly. Joel looks so fucking silly with that Molotov in his hand. So dumb. Our Molotov clickers could never look that stupid.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment in Orlando.
Thank you. Although the blacklight ones were cool in Hollywood.
They were cool. It feels like, and we know this is true, it feels like, comparing both, Orlando feels more like gameplay. You're playing the game, what it feels like when you're, you have the controller walking through the world, and Hollywood's feels like watching a YouTube video of it,
Right.
which is what
That's
Murdy
a good
did.
point. Very good point.
Oh, wow.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Murdy admitted
wow.
it. He didn't
Tell
play
him,
it.
Jonathan. Go, Jonathan. Jonathan's on fire right now.
I never thought of it that way. Damn. That
Like,
is so true.
Amazing.
It's I get it, like you have a lot on your plate, you don't have time to play the game. I get that, but
don't give him that much
I
credit.
know when you're
Jonathan, we all had time to play the game.
It's true. I even I got it for free randomly on PlayStation.
Same.
Like
I played it 10 years ago. But,
I know it
whatever.
was
right,
funny how
Duff,
that
shut
worked out. But like when you're making a video, like particularly a video game based house, I think it's very important that you need to not just watch the source material, but actually play it in order to really get the vibe of it, to really put people into the POV of the player itself. I think that's pretty important. But like we said, there are a lot of good things about this house. Truck was good. The gunfire, I really did like the gunfire effects that they used. That was good. The facade, I like the facade a lot. When we saw that facade and saw Joel and Ellie interacting and that before you enter, I'm like, oh, all right, this is gonna be better. Like that tricked me for a second. But yeah, there's the rest of the things like you guys talked about, the sets, the scares not being there, the abundance of mannequin clickers that don't even make any sense because they still move around when you don't hear them. It's not like they stay. It's not like they're Boo from Mario and just become static when you don't look at them or something. But yeah, it was probably out of all the houses on this list, my biggest disappointment of the night. But it wasn't terrible, but definitely my biggest disappointment.
And then
Mike, I'm dying to hear what you got.
I feel like I'm kind of middle of the road. I'm kind of a fence sitter on with this one. Like I don't think I hated it as much as you guys. I do think there was I actually kind of liked the storytelling element of it. I liked that it was much more story driven. I really liked that had the Joel kill scene in it. I definitely do think that Orlando did the clickers better and just kind of the infected better in general. But I do think they're having something that's more story driven isn't necessarily bad, and they almost pulled it off, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the deal for me. All right. I mean, yes, and I can absolutely agree and admit that, of course, Orlando's going to take Hollywood when it comes to the scenic. Like, there's duh, you know what I mean? And Orlando's Last of Us was gorgeous. I mean, holy! I remember walking through that thing the first time and just being blown away time and time again by the scale, the detail. It really felt like you were in Pittsburgh oftentimes, man, and it was incredible. Um, but again, that being said, keeping everything in the vein of Hollywood, for Hollywood, I think it was one of the better houses we've seen in a while because of the fun theatrical moments that it had. And it's like the pacing to me was super intense. It really moved you moment to moment to moment in a way that you're almost kind of like trying to do a run through of the level because you're so scared. Um, whereas Orlando definitely was slower in terms of pacing. And that to me is what makes Hollywood's a little bit of a better experience, the theatrical moments and the pacing. Although, again, Orlando definitely takes the cake when it comes to the scenic. If I could have Orlando scenic with Hollywood's pacing and intensity, I think we would be at like the perfect telling of this house. However, I can also admit that although there was nice highs in this house in Hollywood, the lows, I mean, it suffered from Hollywood's biggest weaknesses, which are the fucking, we call them, or I heard somebody call them scare squares. And then also all the mannequins. When it wasn't a stupid scare square and it wasn't a stupid mannequin, the scares were pretty intense. They got me a good number of times in this house. However, that the second that we turned that corner and I saw those infected, what are they called? The
Clickers,
not bloaters, clickers. Yeah. When I saw the clicker mannequins, I instantly checked out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, this is truly one of the worst decisions I've seen made in a house in a long time. So I'll give you guys that much. Like, it does have some pretty big weaknesses, and they are some of Hollywood's biggest weaknesses. And all in all, John, you nailed it, dude. You nailed it, brother, with saying that, like, you know, Orlando played through the damn game, and Murdy just kind of watched a walkthrough of it. And took like the greatest hits, if you will. But all in all, I think I still. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna say which one was better on which coast. I can't. I gotta think on it more. But I will say I think this just changed in my ranking.
Ooh.
Oh. Jonathan, did you open something up for Jonathan?
I think I did. The
Good show, Jonathan. Good show.
Exactly. The power of Jonathan.
I completely understand what you're saying. I just cannot view the house in the same lens you did. It just won't work for me.
Sure.
And I think, like, Jess, Mike, you both mentioned how much you love the scene where Joel does get killed, and that's represented. That's a scene where everything else going on in that scene, we're talking static clickers, that's the perfect time to use, like, a good scare. Like, if you want to grab someone's attention, you had the scene right there. Fuck them up on the other side or something. No, none, nothing, zero, zilch. They fucked up the whole scene outside of that. So, like, anytime they did anything good, I felt like it was surrounded by trash.
Damn.
But the truck moved.
The truck did move. I didn't say what I liked about it, though. The facade was really cool. I did think seeing the different forms of Joel and Ellie were cool. I didn't need to see them in every scene, but getting to see them in different forms of themselves was cool. I think that's all.
All right.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. The next one is Holidays in Hell, a nice Hollywood original that is returning.
Exactly as it was in 2019.
Hey, listen, that's unfortunate for you, but I'm happy I got to see it.
Happy New Year.
That's a fun house. If it doesn't make you puke, It's a fun house.
Yeah, Mike had some tummy issues in this
Yeah,
house.
there was a smell in a particular room that basically almost ruined my night. It was
Interesting.
I don't know
The
what it
I
Thanksgiving
was.
believe it's
room, yeah.
Thanksgiving,
It's
right?
never it's
Yeah,
the
the
Thanksgiving
turkey.
room. All of the smells were pretty overwhelming, to be honest. But that one in particular, and normally I'm not affected by the smells in houses. I can handle, Exorcist, Believer in Orlando, the Yeti smells like the bathroom. That doesn't bother me. But something about that turkey smell, just it did a number on me, and I went through it one more time just to give it the benefit of the doubt, and then it was that nope, I can't go through this house anymore. So I only got to experience it twice. And it definitely shaped how I felt about the entire house and how it will end up on my rankings.
Yeah, and
Fair.
I-
They really went ham with the scents, man.
it was hard. I watched multiple vlogs where people said the same thing, though. So you were definitely not
Yeah.
alone, especially with that specific room.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you were not the
There was
only
a
one
lot affected a lot.
that's saying they couldn't go through it again because of that room.
I don't know what it is about it. But it was it just something about it. It just
I will say, while
It
it
did
didn't
when
make
you
me feel
smoked.
queasy or anything, I normally don't do anything to me, but like it did really stand out to me. I was like, oh, that is pungent. So
Yeah.
like it definitely was ramped up heavily. That scent was intense.
There
I
was
also
that one.
remember that room was particularly warm too, like
Yes.
which
Yeah.
made it worse.
Rotten
Because when
food.
you're nauseous and it's like you're like in a physical like warm place, it's like really not a great situation. I remember to just not having fun in that house.
No, it did not smell good. That one, and then also in Monstrose, the butcher,
Yeah.
the ham
Monstrous had weird
smell.
smells too. Yeah,
That ham smell got me almost as nauseous as the turkey smell for you. It was rough, but I love that house too much to stop going through it.
It's almost like they took all these smells and turned them up to 11. Like
Yeah.
there was no subtle mode on that. It was just
yeah.
turkey or
Taste them, yeah.
yeah.
Ugh.
So about the house
But-
itself and
And-
why I did
yeah.
like it. I thought it's just like the funnest form of just a nice mashup. You know, it literally just took the holidays, made them campy, creepy, scary. It didn't do much else than that. Didn't reinvent the wheel in any way at all. It was just fun to go through. It was just a lot of fun.
It is a fun one. And I'll give it that 100%. It's a fun maze. It's another one of those I'm sorry, house. It's a fun house. It's another one of those that I don't know, it doesn't take itself super seriously, and I think it's better because of it.
Yeah, 100%. I did not have any expectations going into this because repeat houses, I mean, I've only gone twice, but Clowns was all right last year, so I didn't have high hopes, but I mean, I really liked it. I like that it wasn't taking itself too seriously. I really like the soundtrack a lot.
Yeah.
Especially in the Halloween room, that like Halloween, like that replays in my head all the time. I'm not even gonna lie, it's so good. And then just like some of the choices in there are funny. They're campy. I didn't get to see HR Blood and Guts in Orlando, so it's fun to see something kind of like take the holidays and make them fun. But I don't need to see it ever again. Another wet house, very
Yeah.
wet.
Yes.
God.
Yes.
Ugh.
This is like the second house. No, this is the second house that Hollywood has tricked me, because last year, 2022, Clowns is coming back as a repeat, and I'm like, I love Clowns, but it's gonna be low on my hype list because of the fact that I've watched the walkthrough before. That I went through Clowns, like, oh, I love Clowns. Oh my goodness, I don't even care that I saw it before. And the same thing happened with this one. I absolutely adored it. I thought I love comedy stuff, and I think this one did it really well. Satan Claus, I mean, hilarious. I think all the rooms were, we're not super, detailed, but I think they were pretty well themed. They got the spirit of the holidays pretty down pat. And some of the visuals were not only, funny, but also kind of really creepy. Like the Easter room gave me the heebie-jeebies. That one was and it had some good scares, and like all you guys have been saying, just fun. The atmosphere, everything, very fun, and I like to have fun in haunted houses in the good way, not the Beetlejuice way, the good way. So, yeah, yeah, it's a good time.
Nice.
Anything else to add about Holidays in Hell?
Okay, Duff, I do have a final thought here.
Mhm.
And I guess I touched on it lightly in the beginning, but I do wish that they had taken the opportunity to revisit the house and change a few things up here and there. Compared to its 2019 iteration, which was in a completely different location. So I understand that. But they could have taken the opportunity to spice it up a little bit, maybe add a different holiday or two that was featured in the scare zone when it was a scare zone before. But they didn't, and I think some of the returning holidays, because they had to be rearranged, just didn't hit as well as they did in 2019. However, again, I can appreciate that you guys saw it for the first time, and I guess all in all, I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it because it's one of few Hollywood originals.
And I seem to always enjoy them, so keep doing them. Keep doing them. All right, so let's move on to our next one then, and that is going to be The Exorcist Believer, which I know for us in Orlando was kind of a surprise hit. I don't know if we feel the same, or at least I feel the same about Hollywood's version.
Well, I will say though, it actually was one of the most busy mazes every night.
Really?
So I hear you, but I think funny enough, Hollywood crowds kind of thought the same thing that Orlando did, where it's like, whoa, this is actually kind of good.
Oh, okay. Interesting choices. I don't know. It wasn't bad. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was very good either. I think it was, I don't even know how to put it. It just felt like they kind of took the characters, that the same ones you would have seen in Orlando that even really weren't in the film at all themselves, and just kind of slapped them in the house. The settings weren't really impressive at all, and mainly nondescript. Story wise, it really didn't tell it. It just kind of felt like they were mashing the scenes together. Yeah, I mean, there were some scares, which was nice. It got a little too platform scary, which Hollywood can tend to do, but I think there are scenarios where that works. And in this one, it didn't really hit right. So it's just nothing impressive, but not, a terrible house either.
Now compare it to the other houses of the night in Hollywood. Taking the Orlando experience out of it, perhaps. Do you still kind of feel the same way?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, you'll hear that in my rankings. But I think, yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
Right. Fair. Totally fair.
I can't be that nice.
Nope. Here we go.
I remember leaving the house and feeling like that was the most Hollywood house I had ever been through.
Interesting.
If I had never been to Hollywood before, like if this year was my first year, it was my second, so I'm not an expert, but that was like what I would expect a textbook, like what we joke about a Hollywood house being, black walls with like maybe some scenic on one, platform scares. There were some scenes that were like fully dressed. I don't want to say like the whole thing is, but like an IP Hollywood house. That is exactly what I expected, and that is what we got.
Interesting.
And I couldn't look past that. It really bothered me.
It was kind of funny because I remember someone on Twitter, this is a long time ago, I cannot tell you who was basically like, was talking about the Exorcist Believer house in Hollywood to John Murdy in some capacity, and referenced, why are there so many black walls in Exorcist Believer? And Murdy, I'm emphasizing this for comedic effect, he didn't actually say it this way. It was like, what the hell are you talking about? There were no black walls in the Exorcist Believer. And the person's like, oh wait, I'm sorry, I mean the red walls that had some paint
right
on them.
Some UV paint when it hit.
Like, I'm sorry, I wasn't that clear. They're just black walls. They're just, you know, they have a little bit of color on them, but they're just black walls, you know.
Yeah, isn't this also the house where someone else tweeted how much they liked it? And he's like, but what exactly did you like about it? Because we only got like a 15-minute clips of like, so what exactly, what did you like?
Sir,
like a
I hear you
15-minute
enjoyed my
clip.
house. I don't think you should. Please rethink that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. The main problem I had with it is an unfortunate side effect of starting with Orlando then going to Hollywood is that it felt like they
Yeah.
both sort of followed the same beats, like almost to a T. You start here, then you go here, then you go here, like pretty
Mhm.
much the same, you know, outline of where you're going. Because I'm sure they both literally had the same outline of what to do for
Yeah,
this
they got the
particular.
same footage.
Yeah, exactly, for this particular property. Both having the doll that wasn't in the movie.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
one, their doll was more accurate because theirs was in the actual container, which is like the brief, like you see it in the corner of your eye, and that's the only reason I spotted it in the film. Like, oh, there it is. It's in a little container like
But
Hollywood.
it was also in the middle of the forest in Hollywood's too.
Yeah, it was
on a
there
log.
too.
It's little
There was-
shoes.
With its little shoes.
but yeah, because it was just the same treatment, just done more poorly with, you know, just less grand sets and, I mean, less scenic and all that stuff. It's gonna fall relatively low. I didn't think it was terrible. It kind of like what you were saying, Jess. It felt like a Hollywood IP house, you know.
I will say the thing you brought up about the doll, I think, is probably the reason I kind of enjoyed Orlando's more. Is it seems they went a little bit more of an original take on it than Hollywood did.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Mhm.
based off what they had and what we saw, it's not fully the IP either in Hollywood. But it feels like Orlando took those things and kind of stretched them out a bit further. Where Hollywood's just like, yeah, it's in there. Yep, that's right.
Completely agree.
All right. Next, moving on. What do we have next?
The next house we can discuss is Chucky Ultimate Kill Count.
Oh, baby.
Oh man,
This is good stuff.
this one was the surprise of the season for me,
Oh,
for
definitely.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Walking out of that and being like, "Whoa, did I like a Chucky house right now? Did I like thoroughly enjoy it? What the hell?"
John Murdy did force me to be hyped for it, though, because he would not shut up about how excited he was about this house. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put what little faith I have left in you in this, and it paid off. It was great.
I did the opposite. I couldn't have faith in someone who was screaming about it. But he had every right to scream about it. I'll give him that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, all the hype he was building definitely delivered. And again, it's so rare for that to happen in Hollywood. And especially for me as a non-Chucky fan, like I don't really follow the series or the TV show or anything.
Same.
I was incredibly surprised. And mostly because of like, I mean, the great use of their animatronic puppets. It really sold the experience. It finally felt like a Chucky house. Like you were actually going through, instead of like a bunch of little puppets, which Orlando, yeesh, the hell, man. Like every puppet looked sadder than the last one out there. And it felt like the first one was like, holy smokes. But then everyone after that just, man, it was rough. So it was cool to be able to walk through a Chucky environment in Hollywood and actually feel like you're in the movie, where it's like this doll that's just running around by itself. And I also really loved all the call outs to influencers. Anytime Hollywood actually like winks and nods at the fan base, I'm like, hey, oh, they know we're here. Because Orlando does it so well. So I like that they did that.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think what you're not telling us is you actually moonlight as like a animatronic salesman, and you pitched John Murdy on these animatronics that's going to break the budget for the next 5 years. So like, we're going to get Chucky for the next 5 years and basically nothing else. because the way
And
that
this
you
animatronic salesman.
Listen, John, what are you going to use? A bunch of rods? Come on. Look at
We-
these puppies. They move on their own.
We were literally talking about this like in a tweet. John Murdy was like, yeah, when I was originally like made the house, treatment, I went to the animatronic guys and he's like, oh, this is what I want. They're pretty simple. And he's like, oh no, they said they could do more and they could do a lot more. And he's like, oh, and he signed the contract and shook hands or whatever. But as we're going to talk about later in this episode, probably the next one, you could definitely tell that those Chucky dolls costed a lot of money because some houses got affected, unfortunately.
So let's
Maybe a neighboring house, perhaps?
yeah, that
Possibly.
one.
Maybe.
Let's relish in this moment because most of this episode we've been comparing to Orlando in a negative way,
Yes.
and now we get to say thank you, Hollywood. You crushed the
Yes.
competition in this one.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Dude, honestly,
Fantastic.
wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
this is one of the most lopsided coast to coast comparisons, even vice versa, that I've seen.
I mean, heads and tails. Like, there is no competition in Orlando at all for this maze. Like,
Mhm.
it's so crazy that, in my eyes, like, yeah, there's no chance Orlando could ever win
No.
in
Yeah.
head-to-head Chucky's,
No.
like, at all.
No.
I might be spoiling my list a little bit, but this might be one of my favorites on both coasts. That's how
Ooh.
much I enjoyed
Wow.
this house. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's up there. I really enjoyed this house.
Okay.
Orlando's broke my heart, like shattered it into a million
Oh,
pieces.
John.
I went through it and just my life was I can't believe it, most hyped house, and it
no.
just
The Beetlejuice effect, man. It'll hurt you.
Beetlejuice effect. But I like, God, even like objective, I think Chucky is worse than Beetlejuice. I think Chucky.
Oh,
like,
thank God. We're
It
finally saying it. Beetlejuice isn't the worst.
no, it isn't. You can't.
I could have
but-
told you that before.
I know, but hey, someone finally admitted it. That wasn't me. I have a bias.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, Chucky's not good. But then you go to Hollywood, and I was
So
hoping for Murdy, but I was also like, Jesus, I can't take another failure again with this character. I can't. And everything about the house completely blew me away. I think my jaw was just like dropped the entire time that first walkthrough, seeing all those like animatronics that move so much. They did so much, and for a haunted house, they did so many things. The story was told so easily, and so simply, especially to you guys like non-Chucky fans. The fact that they divided it into just like generic settings instead of just like
home.
yeah, like home, hospital.
No, I love
forest.
that. Yeah.
It helps people who don't, might not get the references. It's like, who cares? This is what he does in a home. Even if, the bathtub scene was from a particular movie, you wouldn't, if you didn't see it, it doesn't really affect you, that much. And the fact that I think the biggest plus the biggest plus is all the animatronics also all looking unbelievable. But one of the biggest plus is that it actually lives up to the house's name. Because Orlando's has, it has a kill count at the end there, but the house doesn't even barely talks about a kill count. It doesn't even matter. Like, feels like they put that at the end of the house, went, oh shit, this is about a kill count, I forgot, and just added it there. Hollywood's, the entire thing is a kill count.
Mhm.
It starts off, Chuck is like, hey, we're starting with the kills, and he counts them off and counts them off and counts them off until the end. He's like, hey, the last section is all of my kills, all the times I died in all these movies and shows or whatever. And then ends with him killing all of you with like a bomb. This tiny little Chucky's like, it just holds a little bomb, and it just boom. It just is so cute, and it's so awesome. Just it's fantastic. It's a fantastic house, and like you can tell this house was made for Hollywood, and Orlando's just like, I guess we gotta have it. Like
Ugh.
this feels like the whole concept was perfected in Hollywood. And I don't know what the fuck happened in Orlando, but this is perfect. Very good.
All you need to do is point someone in the direction of Chucky and the fireplace between the two coasts, and that's all you need
Oh,
to know
God.
about these houses.
Exactly.
all you need to know.
We literally we posted a picture. I made like a Christmas Eve joke. I'm like, oh, he's coming down your chimney, but I only have pictures of the Orlando unmasking the horror. So I used that, and it has the cardboard cutout Chucky, and someone in our comments literally went, that's not what the hell is that? Like I don't ever want to see that again. The one in Hollywood was so much better. I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I love our unmasking tour guide explaining to us that no, it's supposed to look bad. That's the joke. It's supposed to be like kind of a cheap museum. And I in that moment I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
This is going to be
Chucky Gate. It's a cover up.
kind of a backhand slap to Hollywood, but Orlando made a Hollywood house, and Hollywood made an Orlando house.
Yeah. I mean, before Murdy started talking about, all highly about Chucky, when it was first announced on Halloween, I was completely expecting the opposite. Like, I was not expecting Hollywood's to be good at all, and I was expecting Orlando's to blow it out of the water. But like you said, Duff, completely opposite. It's
Duff,
insane.
I don't think Hollywood has truly made a house as bad as Orlando's Chucky was last season, man. I really don't think even the worst of Hollywood is better than Chucky Orlando. Honestly, man, like I'm trying to think of the worst
still
houses.
argue Haunting of Hill House.
Okay, that's a pretty strong contender.
Think, again, it might legitimately be my least favorite house ever at a Horror Nights.
Jonathan.
This is the 2023 episode. We don't need to destroy me for Hill House.
No, I'm never gonna let that one live down, my friend. I'm never gonna play that one down. Jonathan.
I know.
Okay, Duff. Solid argument.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll retract my
Chucky
statement.
is fantastic. I honestly wasn't joking when I think we could probably see this house a couple more times in the next 5 years. Like I don't Hollywood does repeat houses, and this one is so well received and definitely expensive that I could imagine we see this at least a couple of times. I hope it doesn't outstay its welcome too much where it starts to get a bad reputation.
I think we could also see it come back reskinned, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm looking at those little fuckers and I'm going, you look an awful lot like a gremlin.
Oh. Hello.
It could work too.
They could see it.
Shit.
Yeah.
They could see it.
Yeah.
All right. Gremlin hype train.
One of the,
Let's go.
That's actually one of the, not going to say rumor. It's not from like any official source or anything. Just a lot of people on Inside Universal forums are like going, this is like you were saying, Mike, this is going to get repeated or this is going to get reskinned. People do not think that all of this money that has been spent on these animatronics is just going to, like they're going to go away and they're not coming back next year. Like they're going to be there probably in some capacity. There's no way they aren't.
Right. Yeah.
Give me Gremlins. I'm convinced.
Oh man, I want it so
That
bad.
would
Ever
be
since it first popped up on the HN Nightmares map years ago, I was like, "Oh, that would be so cool."
I will
They
point
can
out,
do it.
Since we've gotten into it now, I believe it was today, Legacy came out, the Insider, and said, the rumors have really been going, and Gremlins is not one of them. He usually speaks strictly for Orlando, though, so I'll hold out hope.
Okay.
Although I'd love that to be a bi-coastal property if it does come, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I mean, I'd love it to be in
See,
Orlando,
but
but after seeing Chucky,
I know there are people on that Orlando team who want to do that.
That's true.
And that's where I hold out hope for it.
I understand. I hope if we ever got it, that it would be a billion times better.
All right, I'm about to take a huge drop in excitement here as we move on to talk about Universal Monsters Unmasked.
Budget house.
Now that's a Hollywood house, baby.
Yeah, that's a Hollywood house. 100%, man. 100%.
It was
Okay, this is where we fight.
Hold on.
Oh, Mike stepping into the ring.
Before we get there, I do want to hear your opinion after your first run of the house.
Me
What?
or Mike?
Mike,
go for it, Mike.
Tell me your evolution.
Okay.
Your evolution.
Oh,
And Jess. Jess also fits this bill.
Okay, so when I first when I first went through it, I got to experience the quintessential Hollywood house. So I finally, because this was halfway through, and there honestly wasn't a lot of black walls up until this point. So I finally got to, okay, this is what a Hollywood house looks like, good and bad. I honestly, the intensity, everyone kept talking about how intense the scares are and how they run at you and how they're just unrelentless. I didn't experience that up until this point. So in this particular house, I got to experience basically everything that Hollywood has to offer, both good and bad. And I think the good outweighs the bad because honestly, I feel like it wasn't till the end that the black walls were really heavy. And it kind of makes up for it just with how intense those scares are at the end. I I definitely grew to love it more in our runs, but I kind of liked it from the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I think that the scenes that are there are done really well. I love the Quasimodo stuff that they do. I love it. I really like it. I
Bless your heart, Mike. Bless your heart.
I feel like I have to jump in here because I'm gonna be the last person here who has probably a positive opinion of this house. Um, maybe we'll see. We'll see. But I agree with you, Mike, on a lot of your points. The first run I did of this. I remember all of us walking out going the fuck. Like I had like we all were like I think we even filmed each other like I don't know what that was. That was something. But then is once we had a point in the night with the RIP pass where you can just go through things multiple times over and over and over again. We were doing Chucky monsters, Chucky monsters, Chucky monsters. And those multiple monsters runs, I started to really appreciate it. I'm not going to say like thinks everything about it is perfect and everything because it's not. I
oh
mean,
no, I
there's,
wouldn't go
there's so
that far.
many exactly like there's we both agree on that. There's a lot of black walls. There's a lot of emptiness and weird choices. But like you said, Mike, I think the scenes that were there for the monsters, I liked a lot. I liked how they were represented. I like the sound design a lot. I think the music really upped the experience. I really enjoyed the slash score this time around compared to Legends where it didn't really affect it at all for me. But most importantly, the most important part of this is that it was scary as fuck. This
It
house
was.
was
It was very scary. We got a
there's
transformation scene too.
We did. We got a
That was
transformation.
cool.
Like from Jekyll to Hyde, which was incredible. And once he became Hyde, he's like, "All right, I'm about to kill you now," and then you die. You go in the black wall rooms and you just instantly get wrecked back and forth, which is just super intense. Then you get to that last stretch, which is all black walls. And the first time going through it, I don't think I got super like a great run, so I was like, "It's all black walls." But then when I did the other run where it actually worked, the rest of the times, I ran out screaming, and like Duff can attest to that, you know.
It was my favorite part of the house.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got great interactions in this house. The Invisible Man, every time I went through, I don't know if he was a Orlando City fan or whatever. He was like he was just vibing. And he was like trying to steal my hat, so he
yeah.
actually got to use his hat trigger like all the time. Like like I really had good fun interactions in this house. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I do think that I will say I am fond of these characters, and I think that goes a long way. I think for most people, for anything, if they're fond of the IP, they're going to enjoy the house more. But yeah, I think this is probably the last of the nice things that are going to be said on this podcast about this. So I'm trying to flesh it out a little bit. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love watching those instances with the Invisible Man with you because that was just like that interaction. Like I know Orlando's, sort of just has the trigger. The fact that one like that or Hollywood's Invisible Man is really able to sort of improvise on what they're able to do because they just
Yeah, he
sort
has a
got,
bunch
like,
of different triggers, right?
Yeah.
He has at least a few.
It's super cool.
Interesting. I don't think I ever caught that.
Really.
But that's pretty cool.
it's funny too because Murdy's admitted he didn't want Invisible Man in it at all. Like he didn't care, give a shit about the Invisible Man in this house. But
Well,
I
clearly because
actually,
he reused the one scene that he had in 2018.
yeah, exactly. But weirdly enough, I think they did the Invisible Man better than they did Orlando. I liked his one
I
section.
think they did too.
Yeah, like especially his interactions with Mike were just so much fun to watch. And this was the last thing I got to say. This was probably out of the entire HHN season, the scariest house I did the entire year, or haunt season. So
That is definitely
yeah,
true
it has
for
that going for it.
you. That or Room 13. They're pretty close.
They're close. They're close.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Now, Jess, should we save you for last? Are you gonna go off?
I don't know. I don't know. I was letting everybody else get their shit off.
Oh, hey, I'm gonna save you for last. I felt that.
Okay.
Okay. It was just not a fleshed out house at all. I do think the scenes they did were cool and for us different to get to see. We got to see the different variations of Phantom, which was nice. But everything else around these small sets was just not fleshed out whatsoever, like at all.
Yeah.
And we were promised like delving through the catacombs, and there were a couple skulls on the wall and bones, and that's like, yep, you're in the catacombs. That's it.
We went through a catacomb.
We got more catacombs than Orlando. I have to say
That is true.
It's true.
That is true. That is true. I do think there was an intensity in this house from the scare actors that added fun. Literally, my favorite part of this house was watching Jonathan get fucked up. It was the best thing about this house for me. So I do have some joy from it. It's not like a pure hatred. It's not like Chucky and Orlando. You know what I mean? There is joy that came from this house. It just felt so lazy. So lazy. Yeah. The sets almost non-existent. And I think if you look at like the Quasimodo scene where he's up top, it's like, oh, cool. Everything else around you is just blank walls, which can work if you can draw attention appropriately, but you have to look up this blank wall to see him too. It's like, oh God, there's just so much that takes me out of it when that's the scenario. And that was basically this entire house.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only room that was like fully fleshed out for the most part was the transformation scene. So I appreciated that. But outside of that, no, I don't think any of the scenes really hit for me. It was only saved by the scare actors being fucking nuts.
They were nuts.
They were.
Yeah, and you know, there was a fun opportunity to do something with the rat lady. And then that kind of just fizzled out. And there was 2 moments in that house with video screens that were probably some of the weakest pieces of production I've seen from Hollywood, unfortunately. Because the rat lady like goes from being a portrait to being a person. And that just looked really, really clunky. I was super hyped for this one. And so after going through it, and you know, Mike, to your point, and John, and even Duff, you guys really highlighted some of the best scenes from the house for sure. But overall, it just under-delivered. And it's one of those where I walked out of it the first time going like, no, I liked it, right? I think I liked it. And then you go through it again and you're like, damn, man. Like, I didn't like this.
It hurts.
Yeah, it hurts, man. It just with the black walls, the LASIK scenic, the story that goes nowhere. I just wanted so much more. And of the Hollywood Universal Monsters houses, this is definitely the worst. Obviously, super low on the list, but like if you can make it physically lower than number 4, do it because that's where it's sitting.
It was worse than last year's because I've heard nothing but terrible things.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah.
I do think it was. Yeah.
And I love these.
To be
boys.
fair, I don't think it's too far off.
No.
I think they are somewhat close in not greatness. I think Legends Collide was just a bit more fleshed out. and that's kind of what
Okay,
did
for
it.
scenic.
What I will give, yeah, Jess, I'll give Legends Collide major points for the scenic. Although I didn't understand where the hell I was half the time and why I was there, it looked
That's
real
true.
pretty. I was somebody. I was
It
somewhere.
was clearly a magic warehouse that transported you all over the
Yeah.
fucking world.
All right.
I could tell where I was. I didn't know why I was there. But yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about monsters. I was really
I'm
excited
ready.
going in. I was really excited. I don't remember where it was on my hype list. I don't feel like looking. I want to, again, highlight the positives before I rip it apart. And you guys have kind of already brought up a lot of it. The Rat Lady obviously was going to be very popular with me, and I loved her. She was killing it every time we went through. I wish we would have seen more from her that was not a TV screen later in the house, but
Yeah.
sucks. It felt like they were trying to copy Knots, but they just knocked it off in like the worst way.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I feel like Knots definitely implemented that a little bit better
Yeah.
with the screens this year,
Yeah.
especially in can't think of the name of it.
Origins, not Origins.
The
Chilling
50th one.
Chambers.
Yeah,
Chilling
yeah, thank
Chambers. Yeah.
With Seymour, and like I feel like that kind of fit better. And here was Rat Lady. Curtains fucking suck. They weren't even black walls. You guys are giving them way too much credit. They couldn't even put flats up. It was fucking black curtains, the entire maze. The entire thing was curtains. It was so lazy. If you have to pay Slash that much money that you can't afford to at least put flats up in your fucking house, you shouldn't be paying him and you shouldn't be making the fucking house.
To be fair,
Or did all the money go on the animatronic outside in the press in the post booth?
Nope. It went to the Chucky animatronics.
Yeah.
Well,
and
okay.
that was a reuse.
That's
man.
fine.
That was one of the Bonesy brothers for sure.
Oh, I forgot about that. No,
That's
you're
not
right.
That's not even a
Yeah?
fresh thing.
So, why do this? Also, the Phantom mask was fucking ugly with the like staples on his face.
Oh, sure.
Not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. The character design was weird on the Phantom, but the Red Death Phantom being
Yes.
represented in this house was so important to me that I had to give it. Like, I don't want to spoil where it is on my list, but it could not fall last because it did hit certain things. We got to see the Phantom playing the organ with, maybe Christine on the floor. I took it as Christine on the floor. I don't know if I don't know if they ever confirmed it, but she's dead right there. I thought that was really cool. At first I hated that they made Quasimodo like the villain because he's really not the villain in his story. He's made out to be, and he's one of my favorites, but I kind of liked it the more I went through the house. It was something that like kind of started growing on me, and I was like, yeah, fuck him up. They fucked you up, Quasi. It's your turn. Go for it. And then he was pouring water on our heads because more water.
Yeah, he squirts you and then he pours water on your head.
He does.
The stretch thing is a squirt trigger.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yep, water. And then I think that they all had really effective rooms. That's the thing, because you guys already talked about the transformation, but we actually went into the Devil's Mouth restaurant.
Yes,
Hyde,
yeah.
It was a surgery theater.
Oh.
And that was really fucking cool because you got to see the skeletons in the seats. And that's something that they did at that restaurant back in Paris. And like, there were things that were really well researched. Murdy like almost got there, like he was doing it. And then it's just a curtain on the wall. And it just hurts. It just hurts. I love the monsters. I've talked about it in nauseum. But like, they tried so not hard at all. But yet also researched so much. I just wanted more. I wanted more from all of it. The Rat Lady, all of them.
Agreed.
And here we are. But the Red Death Phantom was on stilts.
So Duff and I talked about it on a relatively recent podcast, but do you guys know like the two things that Murdy like said on Twitter that were explicitly cut from this house due to budget?
No.
So for the Jekyll and
mad.
Hyde area that was just completely black walls, that was supposed to be more catacombs. So that was supposed to be your going further into the catacombs.
That would
and
have been
the
cool.
and the ending, the finale with all the black walls was supposed to be the mirror trap, where it was gonna have mirrors everywhere, including on the ceiling.
I wish you wouldn't have told me
Oh,
that.
wow.
Now,
I wish I
now
would
it's
have
in
never
last.
known. I wish I would have. I could have died. I could have died however many years from now that it is my turn to go without knowing that, because this would have been my number one.
Really?
Because that's the thing, is like, if we would have hit those points, because hide and seek was a very effective scare. That whole scene, I was filming, and there was one point where I just turned around and looked at Duff and said, I can't do this. And like handed him the camera, because I physically could not deal with Hyde in my face like that.
Interesting.
It
Very
was
interesting.
so intense. Like, I will agree with Jonathan on that. Oh my God. But yeah, there were just so many misses in this house. But if we would have had scenic in those two scenes, I feel like there would have maybe been enough for me
Yeah, it
to
would have
look
at
past
least
it.
filled it in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the most dead parts where it's just like, what is happening?
Now I'm so sad. Now wow. Fuck you, John Murdy. You know what? I got personal beef with you now. Before it wasn't personal, but now it is.
You did remind me of a positive that I missed, though.
Oh.
Hide and seek.
Hide and
I thought
seek.
Yeah.
goofy, but so fun to use that.
That's going to be a Peacock movie for sure, man.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
The audio mixing in that room was so good, because it was like a whisper, but it was so good. I'll give them
Yeah,
that.
that was
echo
pretty fun.
effects to it too, and like, yeah, it was great.
And the actors killing it.
Mhm.
Terrifying.
I'd just like to point out, and then maybe it was just because you guys felt like you had to, but you guys said a lot more positives about this than I would say, like Stranger Things, The Last of Us, Exorcist. I know where it's going to be on your guys' list, but I just like to point out you guys
I have
had a
an
lot more fun
emotional-
in this house.
I have
But
an
then
You
emotional
don't know where
attachment
it's
to
gonna
these
be on my
boys.
list, actually. I just like to point out.
Okay. I'm just reminding you how many nice things you said about this house.
Minding the listeners.
These are my monsters behind Bride, so I will always have a soft spot for them, even if their house was shit in California.
All right, let's move on. 2 houses left. The next one we're gonna head to is quasi returning house, Evil Dead Rise.
Halloween Horror Hotel Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, the bones it had to work off of were really fun and good. So its floor was high enough where I was going to have a good time. And I did. It was fun. My big gripe, the finale. You made it a
I can't even. Yeah.
shadow. Why? I know you spent all your money on
It
Chucky and
just
couldn't
makes
do
me
anything
laugh
else.
Just to think about it.
Oh my God.
It moves so slowly too.
Someone's behind pushing it. Just
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I was just so disappointed by the finale. The rest of it was fun enough, I guess. Whatever. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was the Evil Dead Rise apologist going into this. I will fully claim that. And I still I'll still apologize for a little bit. I thought that it was fun. I thought that some of the scenes that I expected to be in there were in there. I'm not going to lie. I preferred the false wall effect in Horror Hotel over Evil Dead Rise. Because, like, it's fine, but I thought it was better with, like, the newspaper and stuff like that. We didn't get the cheese grater, which is insane to me.
Oh.
We did not get that at all.
He
in the
called that
kitchen.
out in a tweet, right?
Yeah.
He said it was going
Yeah.
to be in there.
It was
Huh.
nowhere in there. Maybe the cheese grater was in the kitchen, but that scene was the daughter eating the glass and then the son.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, neither of that was there. Yeah, so that was kind of disappointing because that's kind of the big scene in the movie. And yeah, the parking garage was fucking comical. God, you make a little U-turn, there's a shadow on the wall. But we got a chainsaw.
All you can do is run.
Oh, yay.
That's the one thing that sticks out to me from that too, is the loop of that man's audio was so short and quick, and so you see the projection. It's run. All you can do is run. Run. All you can do is run.
I don't think I noticed that. Thank God.
I didn't bring that up about Last of Us. Real quick, let me add that in.
Oh,
How many times do you have to listen to the same fucking line throughout a single house?
Ellie, run!
Every room had a repeating line that just kept going and going and going. It's like, I've been in here 5 seconds and I've heard this 37 times somehow. So sorry, had to go back
this
to
is
that
awkward.
because, yep, fucking Last of Us.
Yeah. Evil Dead Rise for me, I thought I would have an interesting perspective because I am the one on the show who did not experience Horror Hotel, so I got to
Mhm.
experience Evil Dead Rise the way it was supposed to be. It was bland. I thought that it was kind of forgettable. The only thing I remember is it was kind of scary. It was intense. It definitely had an intensity to it that some of the other houses were lacking. But other than that, it was fairly forgettable to me. I even watched the Evil Dead Rise movie in anticipation, and I'm not a big fan of this franchise. Full disclosure, but it was forgettable to me. I think I'm just kind of everything you guys are saying I am agreeing with. So it wasn't the fact that it was a repeat. I think it was just kind of a weak house.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was, I was ready to sort of make fun of this house and in terms of like, oh, this is Horror Hotel. This is Horror Hotel. But I kind of wished, I don't know, like I wish that I was wrong. I wish that I was like, oh, like once you pass that bathtub scene, it gets a lot, maybe changes a bit. But, like we said, it doesn't. It doesn't really change. And I think the things that it changes, like the finale, are worse than its predecessor. And it really teaches, I don't know, like it really has a nice lesson of how important a story is. Like how much a story can really make a huge difference in a house, because these are, like you said, it's the same bones, it's the same types of scares, it's the same types of effects, pretty much. You go the same path, everything's pretty much the same with the redecoration. But the story of Horror Hotel was so, it wasn't like even that groundbreaking either, but it was so interesting, so fun for an original. They had a lot of backstory to it in the queue. You saw it spread throughout the house. You're almost uncovering a mystery to the end where that finale really hits, because the mysteries unfold on why this is all happening or whatever. That story made such big of a difference that when you just throw an IP in and the story just becomes, oh, it's, IP, it's this movie, it loses so much of its charm, like so much of it, that it just feels, like you were saying, Mike, it feels bare. It feels almost like, I don't know, empty, like with its soul has just been taken out of it, like one of those demons in Evil Dead Rise take their soul out of the victims. It just feels like it's just been completely drained of life, and it's just a shell of what it was. And it's weird because it's still completely full. It just, something didn't click for me with it, and yeah, and it was loud. It was fucking loud as hell. This was the house that started to really hurt my ears after a while, but yeah, it wasn't terrible. It just was not Horror Hotel at all.
I think I'm the only motherfucker here who liked this house.
I think so.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
What did you like about it? I want to hear.
I'm gonna save that,
Oh.
Mike.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm gonna save it.
Oh god.
Okay.
Is this like
fair.
your number
Okay.
one? Jesus Christ. I'm scared.
I'm gonna
I
save it.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. I didn't think it was good.
Okay.
I would say, as the children say, it's a mid.
All right, one house left, and I thank God it's something more fun to talk about. Monstros, the monsters of Latin America, easily my most hyped house coming in, and it pretty much lived up to it. I think the telling of these new monsters was a lot of fun. I think they fleshed them out enough where you could understand them, and then just get to watch them be fucking evil, basically. We're talking fucking babies up again, my favorite Hollywood pastime. Absolute sick gore, like
Only Hollywood.
ripping spines.
Marty's got children, and I just have so many questions.
Fucking cool ass animatronic.
Yeah.
Like really good. It was gory, disgusting, smelly, and beautiful. It gave me what I wanted out of it. That's all I can ask.
Poetic.
Oh, and the facade was really fucking cool, especially with like Muerte out there telling stories.
Yeah.
The facade was gorgeous, especially as far as Hollywood standards go. So fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the simple storytelling of watching Muerte dig the grave, and when you get to the end, you see that the gravestone is
This
2.
grave is for you.
Yeah. I thought, like, it's so simple, but perfection at the same time.
Oh, what a good makeup design. I know I said that the Momias zone was muddy. He was not.
No, he definitely
So
stood out
good.
really well. It was so even the hands, like I loved his
Yeah.
bony hands.
Yeah. Oh, I loved him. And that 2-story mausoleum, because they don't exist, or whatever the fucking argument was. God. It was so pretty in person though. The colors, little owl animatronic. No, this house maze, whatever they're calling it out there in Hollywood now.
That'd be a house.
It sure, whatever. It was everything I wanted. Even Ria's agreeing in the background. It was so good, and I only wish we got to go through it more than like the 10 times we got to.
Like 10 more, 20 more, 30 more, 40 more.
Yeah, just the storytelling was like on another level, and there some like one character I was familiar with because a coworker had told me about El Silbon. So it was really funny. Like weeks before this house was announced, she was explaining him to me, and then boom, there he is. So I like came back and I had so many like videos to show her. So it was cool to like show someone who that is their culture. Be like, look, I went all the way out to California. It was represented, and she was like, oh my God, because she wasn't able to go. So it was just really cool to have kind of like even that extra layer of it when I got back.
Oh man, our rankings are going to be so interesting.
Oh no. Dang.
Yeah, I thought this house was a highlight for me. I really enjoyed it. I did think I was surprised by some aspects of it. I thought it had a really kind of tight claustrophobic feel, and I did expect kind of if they were going to have some grand, bigger sets, it was going to be here, and I didn't ever necessarily get that, at least on the level that I expected to get. But then again, I went in with kind of like Orlando's mindset that if there's going to be an elaborate, beautiful, scenic house, it's going to have to be grand. I don't think that's necessarily the same thing over there. I don't think they have going to have that big grandness ever. But for what it was, I did think that there was really some fun elements in this house. I definitely think it was a highlight for me. Maybe not as it was. I was going in, this was definitely my most anticipated, so I do think there was a few things about it that just weren't quite on that level that I expected, but that was more my expectations than it was execution.
Interesting.
That's fair.
This house, like scenic wise, impressed me as much as Scarecrow did, their Scarecrow, because their Scarecrow last year was the first time I walked into Hollywood House and went like, oh shit, in terms of sets. Like
Yeah.
not Orlando quality, but for Hollywood quality.
Getting there.
Exactly. Really good. Exactly.
On the road. Right.
Really damn good. And walking into this house, it was the same thing. Like, all right, there's no competition. This is the best sets of the year. Like, no question. The story was fit. I really liked the story. It was simple yet effective and told. I think got the gist of what all these monsters do really well. I researched it a bit beforehand, but I think even if I didn't, I'd give somewhat of a good idea. I think the effects in here were good. I liked the pacing. I love the narrator of the whole thing. I thought that tying everything together was a really fun element. And I mean, yeah, it was, you guys kind of touched on most of the other things. There's not much else to say besides this was a really damn good house. And I'm happy that it ended up being as good as it was.
John, are you saving this one too for a specific reason, or do you want to go?
I'll talk a little
Okay,
bit about
all right.
it. You kind of touched on it. I'll say this much, and this should kind of give you an idea of where it stands in my rankings, perhaps. But this is probably one of the houses that I did the most, just because it's like toward the front of the park, but also it seemed to have one of the more manageable wait times. So I did get to see it quite a bit. Overall, when I compare it to La Llorona, it doesn't hit as well for me. And then also, John, you brought up Scarecrow. Scarecrow being, an original for Hollywood, even though it's an adaptation from Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like comparing it to Scarecrow, another, original versus original, I thought Scarecrow was better overall.
I think I'd agree with that too.
Yeah. The scares were really intense. The scenic was really awesome, and the story was there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it this way: Monstros left me wanting more, especially compared to even its predecessor in that spot with La Llorona, because La Llorona is a pretty damn good Hollywood house.
I was gonna say, one, for me, nothing compares to La Llorona in Hollywood. Nothing.
Sure.
Like, it's not even close. It's number one, and number two is like on a different planet.
I'm glad you said that, Jonathan, because I can't argue with that statement that Monstros left me wanting more, because it left me wanting more too. So I'm glad I feel validated just a little bit where I have this in my rankings.
All right. I'd say let's get to our rankings. But it'd be fitting to talk about something specific that has popped up. So, Killer Clowns obsessed Jonathan, would you like to talk about this?
Yes. This was a little more interesting than our usual rumors, because this isn't like from a full-on insider like legacy, but it's been spread along the forums enough, and Discord servers, and other like Hollywood people who are kind of insiders a little bit on the forums have sort of like agree with it or think it's a possibility, that I think it's a fun conversation to talk about. And basically, a rumor is spread on the Inside Universal forums by Alexander M. Bush that Universal Studios Hollywood is looking to add purpose-built structures for the park seasonal events, with the rumored area being the H lot. Now, as of now, it's
break or has it been around for a little bit?
It's been around for like 2-3 weeks or so.
Interesting. Okay, this is the first time hearing it, so it's pretty exciting. Sorry, keep going. Keep going.
No, you're good. Sorry, sometimes I get in like a rhythm, but I do want to clarify that right now, the actual type of structure is not like being discussed as of yet. It could be a variety of things. We don't know if it's just gonna be like, or plot of this rumor. This is all very much a rumor, like a building or separate tents like there are now in that H lot. But yeah, it's going to be some sort of structure, according to the rumor, which may or may not, end up coming to fruition. But yeah, John, how would you feel about this?
Sorry, I just took a bite of a taco.
That's the worst timing.
Man,
Yeah,
I'm so
I forget
fucking
that
jealous.
it's dinner time over there. It's dinner time for you. So eat whatever you need, man. This has been like 3 hours. I'm sure you're starving.
No, I think that's really exciting. I think sorry, hold on. Oh, the tacos are so good. I definitely think it's super exciting because Hollywood needs more Horror Night specific spaces, I feel like. And we're already kind of using that space every season now, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, guys, I don't think the backlot is like ever coming back. So I think with the addition of the soundstage where they had Exorcist in this past season, and maybe something more semi-permanent on the H lot, it's perfect. It's a perfect spot for that. And I think the event can only benefit from more Horror Nights specific spaces, because it's coming back every year.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to stop. So as the event grows and as we get closer to 10 houses every season, I think that would be perfect, man.
All right, let's rank them. It's time.
Let's do it.
Heck
So
yeah.
Let's do
reminder,
it.
we are
Oh, man.
combining the houses with the terror tram. So all
Yeah, we
together.
are.
So we're, as always, going to start from number 9 and move our way up. Who would like to kick us off with their number 9?
I mean, I have a feeling perhaps Jess has the same idea as I do, but number 9 for me is Unmasked.
No, I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
interesting.
I
Whoa.
told you I had some redeeming quality.
Okay. Well, it's Unmasked for me at number 9.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
I'm not mad about it though. Not at all.
Oh man, you want to see where I have it? Okay. Well, my number 9 is The Exorcist.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
also my number 9, Mike.
Wow.
Wow.
I liked Orlando's a lot better. I thought it told whatever story they could find from whatever clip of the movie they saw, because it's not the one we all saw.
I mean,
It just wasn't my
Orlando's
favorite.
better, but
Interesting.
I just did not like Hollywood's. And I think I said it after the first and every run we did. I was not a fan of their Exorcist.
well, my number 9 is The Last of Us.
Whoa.
I not only did I not like it much, it sort of pissed me off, if you couldn't tell.
Whoa. So that was your Chucky Orlando.
Yeah, like it not only wasn't good, it was frustratingly poor.
Holy crap, dude.
Yep.
Whoa.
I was not
And to be
expecting
built up so high. A lot of people built it up for all of us. I get it.
Yeah. I would like to point out my 9 to like 5 are kind of like marginal differences, unfortunately, for this year. I feel pretty comfortable about where everything is outside of like 1 or 2 switching, but they aren't too far off at the end of the day.
Interesting.
We're all gonna have probably varying lists.
It's about damn time.
This is exciting, man. I love this.
It's really fun. You know, usually rankings. There's people with like very similar. I don't think this is gonna be cool. But my number 9 is Evil Dead Rise.
Okay.
Because of
Wow.
everything I said before. It just it was Horror Hotel, but not.
Well, I'll piggyback off you because my number 8 is Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, mine as well.
Well, I'm also going to join the
wow.
piggyback because that's also my number 8.
Well, my number 8 was Holidays in Hell.
Makes sense.
Fair, yeah.
I get
You've
that.
seen
Yeah.
it.
Of course, yeah. So I know I'm very biased in that. So I totally get why it's not your number 8. But damn, y'all.
Mhm.
Evil Dead, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
My number 7 is Holidays in Hell, and that's mainly because it's an unrunnable house for me. It was a one and done.
Sure,
Well, technically
sure.
2 and done, but that is number 7 for me.
Pretty fair reason, I'd say.
And my number 8 is The Exorcist Believer.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I already did my
No, you're
7.
fine.
Jonathan. Just wanted to piggyback off of Jonathan.
I'll hop into my number 7 then. I think this is where 2 potentially could have flipped if I look up at 6. But there's a fun factor that wasn't in this house. So number 7 is Stranger Things.
Wow.
So my number 7, this is as high as I could let Unmasked fall. Hollywood.
Oh.
So this is where it fell, mainly because of Red Death Phantom and the Rat Lady. They really were holding on here.
Fair. Okay. Well, I guess I'll say mine because number 7 for me is the Terror Tram.
Ooh,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay. all right.
Those are fighting words in this
Yeah, I was
house.
going to say.
Be happy I like you guys.
Well, this is awkward because I have it ranked higher than Jess, but my number 6 is Unmasked.
Wow.
At the end of the
Whoa.
day, everything in this kind of realm has a lot of flaws, but this, thanks a lot to Jonathan getting scared shitless and making the actors go even harder,
That's fair.
was more fun to go through. So
You're welcome.
I'll remember it fondly from that.
My number 7 is The Last of Us.
Interesting.
Oh, I skipped you. God damn it.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We've been going in a weird order. It's fine.
My 6 is The Last of Us as well.
Wow. Okay.
That's also my number 6.
The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. My number 6 is Monstros.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah, man.
You put
Okay,
Terror Tram and Monstro.
Oh, we wanted to hear what. Well,
Oh
no,
yes,
that
I'm
was-
so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll be quiet.
No.
He already talked about Monster. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
have
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the one detail that I left out was I think it was too many Monstros. I feel like
Mm.
we didn't get enough time with any of them to really appreciate them fully. I think it should have just been strictly either El Cibon or La Lechuza.
Yeah.
I think
Fair.
either of them with a whole house would be terrifying. Because I wanted a little bit more of each of them. And then also, it was just the boo holes, man. That was the main scare of the house. That's what left me wanting more the most. Is that it was the same kind of attack over and over again. When you do that, you lose me. I check
Fair,
out.
fair. Is it just me, or is it pretty short too? Like compared to the others, it
Yeah,
felt like it was a pretty pithy house.
Yeah.
It was,
And it's a product of its location as well. The Parisian courtyard is pretty small. But even that being said, it's kind of an unfair comparison, but not really. But compared to La Llorona, it did feel a lot shorter, a lot quicker. And I think it was because they were trying to put way too much into the story that it kind of it diminished everyone's time to shine.
Mm.
That makes sense. My number 6 is Stranger Things 4.
Okay, fair.
are we on to 5s?
We are.
My number 5 is Stranger Things.
Okay.
That's
All right.
also
As
my
is
number
mine.
5.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Well, my number 5, and I can't believe it's above all the things below it, but Exorcist Believer.
Wow. Okay.
All
What
right.
made you put it that high? What? Curious.
I think the base of it and its scare level was enough. A lot of it still pissed me off. Again, 5 to 9 is not far off of each
Piss
other.
off zone.
Really not far off each other. But I think it just kind of had one of those built-in floors that kept it just above drowning. Well, it kind of drowned.
Interesting, because I would say that had the most red/black walls of the event.
I still think
At least
Monsters
for
probably
me.
takes the cake with that.
They weren't walls.
Okay.
How dare you say
You
these are
got
black
lawyered.
wall?
You got lawyered.
Unthemed sightings. How about that?
Nice. That's going to be in Murdy's
They're all
treatments now.
I can't wait for him to tweet, they were walls. That's my dream. Is to
They're
argue
all
with
just
Marty.
house attendants that were very well disguised.
Their hoods were just a little lower.
I told you guys not to stand in a line like that.
Oh no. What number are we on?
We
4.
are 5.
Yeah, I think we
Did
everyone
do
said
Did
5.
everyone do their 5?
I got one more 5.
God damn it. Why do I keep skipping you?
It's okay. I'm forgettable. I get it.
Oh, John.
Number 5 is the Terror Tram, I think it's either number 1 or 2 on my favorite Terror Trams. It's really good, but the Terror Tram itself is never going to be super high just because of what it is.
Fair.
But I did really enjoy it.
All right, now we're on number 4.
Oh
And I
man.
can piggyback because my number 4 is Terror Tram. And for me, this is where things are like, okay, good. So, to give you an idea where we're at, there's a gap between
Interesting.
here and Exorcist for sure.
I would hope so.
My number 4 is Universal Monsters Unmasked.
Interesting.
I really enjoyed this house for what it was. I think it was the Hollywood epitome of Hollywood. I got everything that everyone's told me that I was going to experience in Hollywood. I got it all wrapped
Full
up.
experience.
I got the full experience, and I got it wrapped up in an IP that I really enjoy. And I got elements that were missing from Orlando's house. I really did. I got a transformation scene. I got Red Death Phantom. I got a Quasimodo that actually does stuff. It doesn't just try to fall on you. Yeah, I got everything that I wanted out of it, and put those two together, you would have House of the Year for me.
Interesting.
Hollywood and Orlando.
Mhm.
Out of all the
Yeah.
Quasimodos you could have took a shot at, Bungie?
Bungie
How
Moto.
dare you?
Yeah,
Why him, man?
them's is fighting words, Mike. Everything's fighting words.
I'm actually.
Was there other Quasimodos in that house? Because-
Yeah, there was one.
There was one more.
one more. Okay.
There
It
was
so-
one more.
So that was so forgettable that I forgot he was in there.
He would give me heart hands. Number 4. I'm sorry. Was somebody trying to piggyback off that?
I was.
Go
I
ahead.
was.
Okay, go. Sorry.
And not just because I don't want to be forgotten about this time, but because I have a reason, and that is that my number 4 is also Universal Monsters Unmasked.
Interesting.
That actually kind
It
of
was-
surprises me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
surprises how high or low.
How
or-
high? Because I know you had
Yeah.
fun because of the scares, but I know you also shit heavily on it.
I did.
And I never did. I've always
Yeah, exactly. So you
kept
guys having it
that
at the
I-
same spot is shocking.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, the thing that I keep remembering, like when I'm going back to, especially having all this time separated from it, the thing I always remember from that house is how fucking scared I got in it, and that that energy like has carried it to number 4.
Listen, we have the,
Plus all the
we have
things
the
I already
same
like about
memories,
it.
just from a different point of view.
I have
Exactly.
to agree, Jonathan. And honestly, I would just replace scary with fun. Like, I
Mhm.
honestly think probably the funnest run that I had in any of the houses were probably in Universal Monsters Unmasked. And I know not everyone gets that's just kind of a, zeitgeisty thing. I happen to have good runs. I happen to have, characters that were really interacting with me. I happen to really like the IP, but I had the most fun in at least one run of this house. I think of the HHN event.
That's incredible.
Nice.
My number 4 is Holidays in Hell.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I was really looking forward to this house, and it did not disappoint. I also
Respect.
like campy haunt. It's very traditional haunt. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Mhm.
So I love that.
Did everyone say their number 4?
No, I haven't gone yet.
Oh, damn it.
Everyone forgets about the Jonathans, I guess.
Exactly. Even Jonathan.
Well, we tried to at least.
Number 4 for me was The Exorcist. Now, I'm
Okay.
coming at it from the Hollywood perspective here, and it's got a couple things going for me. I didn't explain this earlier because I wanted to save it until now. In kind of piggybacking off of your experience with monsters, Jonathan, the first time I went through The Exorcist in Hollywood, it rocked me. It like genuinely scared the shit out of me time and time again, and it like confused me because it's in a new location. So I had very little orientation of where the hell I was heading.
Mhm.
And so that really like helped make it like a really crazy experience for me. And also, as far as Hollywood goes, the opening scene, the opening moment, right after the black wall facade, was really good and detailed for Hollywood. We don't really ever get those kinds of environments in Hollywood. That was the closest thing to like feeling like I was in The Last of Us in Orlando, where I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of scale. Oh, you can actually look up and see some things. Wow, okay. Like there's detail pretty much everywhere in that opening moment. I wish that level of detail carried throughout the rest of the house, which it did not. And I can also acknowledge that the scare squares and the platform scares were, again, a big Hollywood weakness that came up again. And that really knocked it down a few pegs. But I really enjoyed The Exorcist in Hollywood for a Hollywood maze.
Makes sense.
Okay. I guess I'll hop in with my number 3, and that is Holidays in Hell.
Oh,
I think it's just a fun. I think Jess put it perfectly. It's just classic haunt, right? You're just mashing up all these creatures that happen to be themed to the holidays. Got pretty campy. It was a lot of fun.
I'm
fair.
I'm gonna hop in right in here because my number 3 is also Holidays in Hell.
Nice,
join me.
nice.
Yeah.
My number 3 is probably going to be shocking. It is Monstros.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
The way you talked about
I
it.
really, yeah, I really liked it. I just think it was a short. It was more of a claustrophobic feeling house
Sure.
when I expected a really big, I expected a soundstage type house. But you don't really get those too
Welcome
much.
to the Parisian courtyard.
Yeah, exactly. But that again, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't what I expected. I still really loved it. It's still probably one of the best houses I went through in the trip. But it sits at 3.
Okay.
Anyone for number 3?
Jess, you want to go?
You can go first.
No, I insist.
Oh, okay. My number 3 is Chucky.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And that's not because it was bad. I thought it was really good, and I'm not a Chucky person. I'm not a fan. I don't hate him. I'm just not a fan.
Sure.
So for me to have this anywhere above 5, is shocking, but that's how good it was.
Okay, made everyone's top
Can't
3
deny
at
it.
least.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody.
Wait, what?
Wait, where did you have Chucky?
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I was like,
what did I
wait.
miss?
Sorry, I had to do numbers, and I'm very bad at numbers. Okay, so number 3 for me was Evil Dead Rise. Now, let me tell you why, real quick, you haters. First of all, to me, it nailed the 3 S's, right? Story, scenic, scares. Pretty solid throughout. And it wasn't the same kind of Hollywood boo-hole bullshit. There was a little bit of variety. Now, granted, the variety was a lot of doors. But, at least it gives me the suspense of, like, which one is it going to be? As opposed to, like, oh, I see a boo hole. It's going to be there. It also, to me, nailed the movie. Like, the look, the aesthetic, from script to house. I think it did a really good job of screen to maze adaptation. It did a really good job of capturing it. And also, I think its only weakness to me was that it had a lot of missing performers. But that's a weakness that honestly was, riddled throughout Hollywood this season. But all in all, I really enjoyed Evil Dead. And yes, it's really hard to take yourself out of, oh, this used to be a Hollywood Hotel. But I think if we didn't get Hollywood Hotel and we got Evil Dead in its place, and Hollywood Hotel never happened, it would have been probably higher on people's rankings, in my opinion, because it was pretty solid. But that's just me.
It might have made it to the top of my piss puddle at the bottom. But that's as far
Very
as
graphic.
I'll go. That's as far as I'll go. I believe we're on number 2 now.
Yeah.
Ooh. This one was tough. 2-1 are almost interchangeable. But I think at 2, I'm going to stick with Chucky.
Nice.
Makes sense.
It's a character I don't have a super fondness for, but it was so much fun. And the animatronics were so impressive. The way they actually told the ultimate kill count storyline was very impressive, and I mean, something we couldn't do in Orlando. I'll tell you that much. So I do think this is a very good house, but I think it also does get a boost from like the first Chucky I saw was the Orlando one, and then I went and saw this. So there's a bit of a boost of like, you have impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for that reason, that's why it's 2 and not 1. Because I know naturally there's just some like, it's not the better house. It's just there's something about how bad ours was that makes me like it more.
All right. Well, my number 2, and doing the math, I think it might not be just mine, is Terror Tram: The Exterminators.
Wow.
This was I think one of my most anticipated things going in, and it did not disappoint. It is the only thing I got to experience once, unfortunately, just due to the way the RIP tour is designed, that by the time the RIP tour is almost over, you really don't have a lot of chances to go do this again. So I only got to experience once, and I really wish that I got to experience this more. Also, I will caveat that we got the RAP tour experience of this, not just the regular. So, and I am rating it based on what I experienced. So I got to have that extra maze. I love this. I thought it was fun. I do wish I got to ride, do back and did this again and actually got to ride the tram to experience it. Just so I would experience the whole shebang. But I loved this. I loved the Larry Larva stuff. I loved the Nope sets. Just such a fun element that we don't have. And I really hope that the Terror Tram is here to stay for a while.
Same.
Well, Terror Tram's also my number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what it
Hell
was.
yeah, Terror Tram making it to 2 Orlando top 3s. I love it. Love to see it.
I mean, we're not surprised with how much I've talked about Larry Larva in the past couple months. But I really fucking love this. Everything you said, Mike, times 10. There was not a single interaction I wasn't like grinning ear to ear from in this entire, walk. And it felt so short, and it wasn't because it was a short experience, it's because time flew. Because I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got an extra maze, but even if I remove that, I fucking love this tram, and I kind of would love to see Larry get a house. I know that that's not always what y'all do, but Larry versus Harry is also something I'm into.
I like it.
Maybe like a Royal Rumble type thing where we get all the icons from all the events, and it's just one big Royal Rumble Terror Tram. I don't know. I'm just talking, but
that's pretty fun.
Thank you. We'll workshop that over on Hauntline.
Yeah.
My God, it's Jack Schmidt. It's Jack Brown. My God.
Okay, so what if we put them into 2K and create a wrestler?
Oh, hell yeah.
And actually, okay, we'll work on that.
I just thought of something. I liked this so much that I have like pretty bad trypophobia. And it's so bad that I did not like bugs eaten alive. Like I couldn't go through that house that much. I was not affected by it too much.
Oh,
here.
sure.
I liked it that
Look
much.
at that.
Heck yeah.
Look what Lawrence can do.
I
Lawrence.
really,
Not Beetlejuice. They're very different.
And I recall it being pretty heavily an element of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And my
Well,
number.
sorry, John.
Sorry,
Go
no,
ahead.
Joe, Jonathan, would you like to go?
No. East Coast John.
Do
Take
the
it.
hello, John bit. Come on, do it.
Hello, John.
My number 2 is Monstros, and
Nice.
I mean, no matter what, it obviously was going to be number 2 because of what's number 1, that we'll get to. But I also think our runs that I didn't do them like tons of runs at the end of the night. I think the runs that I had weren't the best. There were a lot of times where there were people in line that were like messing, with people to the point that I think even like the one of the stilt walkers had to like stop the line to like protect us from the people from the back.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. It was, there were some runs that weren't the best. And I don't think I got that many, like too many scares in it. Um, but that's the only reason why it's at 2. It's still a very, very good house, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, number 2 for me is The Last of Us.
Oh,
Oh
um,
wow.
again, from the Hollywood perspective, pretty fun house. This one, however, I must admit, changed in my ranking as we were talking through the episode.
Oh,
Oh.
Um,
was it at
it
1?
it was at number
whoa.
1, but I did really have to come. Yeah, I had a come to Jesus moment where I was like, "Listen, there's high highs for me, but there's some really low lows," and so it just felt wrong having that and those stupid mannequins and those stupid scare squares at number 1. So yeah,
Well, I'm happy that Jonathan was able to show you the light.
yes, indeed. Thank you, John,
You're welcome.
Reverend Jonathan.
Oh my god. All right. We're at number 1 now, right?
I mean, you could.
Yeah.
There's a few of the same ones. You can go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I'm very shocked to say this, folks, but Chucky is House of the Year
Yes!
for me, man. Number 1. It's better than Orlando. It's got the great use of puppets, the call out to the influencers, and I think overall, start to finish, one of the strongest house that we've had this season, because it didn't really suffer from some of the Hollywood isms that the other houses on this list definitely did. So fucking shout out to Chucky. What the hell, man?
It's crazy that I just have it at number 2. So you guys at 1, congratulations.
Yeah, there is one more other person who has it at number 1, and
Hmm.
that is me. I have Chucky.
Oh.
I have Chucky number 1. It is, I don't know, it blew me away.
Hey.
I loved the animatronic. I loved how fun it was. I loved how silly it was. I wouldn't necessarily call it scary, but not every house has to be. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I don't think I said it officially, but yeah, Chucky's also my
You didn't have to.
also
you,
my
you
number.
definitely didn't
I
have
did-
to.
No, I could have just said nothing. People are like, yeah, it makes sense.
Jess, would you like to, or
I mean, we have the same number
yeah,
1.
that's true.
You can go for it.
Monstrous.
Yay! We're not surprised.
To be fair, it barely held on for me over Chucky. Like,
Oh, wow.
slightly.
Really?
Wow.
So
Interesting.
the big thing for me, and I do agree with a lot of what specifically John said about it, but for me, the vibe and it's what I'm looking for, especially at Hollywood.
Mhm.
They've kind of, I don't want to say mastered at all, but what works for me in Hollywood is kind of that all-encompassing, claustrophobic vibe that you have going on, right? A little
Sure.
decrepit, kill some babies, be gory.
Fuck shit up, have a puppet.
You know, I do think I think it told enough of each story for me that I could kind of attach myself, but I do think maybe if you take out one of the monsters, you can get a lot more story out of it, and then suddenly it's closer to a La Llorona level potentially for me.
Sure.
It's not quite there. It's actually nowhere near there, but
Yeah.
it just beats out Chucky for me.
Yeah, no, mine was a little bit more definitive in this being number 1, but it is nowhere near La Llorona. That is something that I talked about it last year. Had been following since 2012 and all of that. So, but I agree. If you were going to take one out, Tawala Pucci would be the one to take out. Jonathan, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I just want more. I just want more. I would not be mad if this house came back. I would not be mad if we did other monsters. I just love this concept. It's like I'll give you. It's like maybe La Llorona was like West Coast Graveyard Games. This is like right under it.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
I'll give it that. Yeah.
High honors.
Wow.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I do worry talking about will it come back? Can it come back? When does it start to feel like pandering is not the right word, but focusing too much on one type of haunt, because they are very similar aesthetically, purposely, of course. Again, they go for the decrepit, gory, dark vibe. How many times can you keep doing that before it's like,
Right.
all right?
Yeah, it's like the hauntingly dark stories.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just scary; they kind of get you to the bone.
I'll take it.
Very
Whatever.
interesting.
Keep coming back.
Number one.
All right. So I think that's all of our rankings. We've done it.
Hell of a
we
list,
did.
gang.
Yeah,
Such
3 hours
variety.
later.
Such
3 hours.
variety.
So
I was gonna
much.
say, I don't know if we ended up planning on having a long show, but it sure was.
No,
a
No,
long
I mean,
one.
I figured. Hey, but guess what? There's a couple more things to talk about.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
What'd you think of the merch, guys?
the same as Orlando's. Except no, the Terra Tram shirt and
That
hoodie.
Terratram hoodie, I
Amazing.
wear it
Yes.
almost
Best
daily
Buy.
right now because it's
I'm-
actually
It's so
cold.
good.
So
I'm fully disappointed I didn't get one.
It
fully
Me too.
disappointed.
is
I regretted
it's-
not buying one.
it's my baby. I wear it all the time. Jonathan, you didn't say anything. What you think? What you got?
Oh, yeah, it was good. It was good stuff. And I have the sorry, I was like, whew, zoned out for a minute. Yeah, no, I got the shirt, the Terratram design, and I wear it a lot. I think it's very good, and I did like all the Terratram stuff that they did have. Everything else was the same stuff, but yeah.
I also enjoyed the Monstros shirt.
Oh
cool
yeah,
shirt. Pretty cool
Wasn't
shirt.
bad.
Wish they would have had more last year of like La Llorona, but they didn't really. So I'm glad they took the opportunity to do that with this.
All right. Also, food and beverage.
Boo.
We
Yeah.
get to go to the RIP buffet, so
Yeah. I don't
But we got
remember
to try-
trying anything.
No, we got to try the Chucky barbecue was on the buffet.
Yep.
The
Oh, that's true.
There was a
something else.
couple
There was
items.
other
Yeah.
Surfer
Yeah.
Boy
The
pizza.
the Surfer Boy pizza.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
You
wings.
guys got your blinky cup that almost made us miss the show.
All right, and then
Just
caused
kidding.
social anxiety the entire. That drink was good. I can't remember what it was. It was. I'm pretty sure it had tequila in it. It had
One of us
tahini on
got
the
a
rim.
margarita. The other got a.
Paloma. I want to
think
say
it
it
was
was
a
a Paloma
Paloma.
because I was drinking a lot of Palomas on our trip.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was the drink of the
It
trip.
was pretty good, but yeah.
Yeah,
We
we
could
stick to the
activate a
RIP
blinky.
buffet for the most part. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, for us peasants, let me tell you, the the options were few and far in between. The pizza fries, dump pizza fries, hard as Orlando.
No.
I'm sick of the wings and the burgers and the pizza. I'm trying to eat like I'm in Orlando, baby. Like Horror Nights Orlando, the food festival y'all have every season. Man, let me tell you, yeah. Even the Cordyceps corn dog was like a very sad, watered down version of the masterpiece that y'all had in Orlando. I need someone to come from the Orlando Foods team to Hollywood and give us some real food, please.
Much needed, for sure.
Much needed.
And then just overall, what did you think about HHN 2023 in Hollywood?
I mean, I loved it. I would never do it without RIP.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I don't think, for those who have never heard us talk about Hollywood before, there were literally 3-hour waits probably for most things. And we went on a Sunday. So it was a weekend, but it wasn't a Friday or a Saturday. I don't know how people do it. There were even like 45-minute waits for Express. It's just a different beast over there when it comes to the waits. So if you were, with thinking about going to Hollywood, I would highly, and you only have, one day to experience this. Really, the RIP is the way to go. There's not much other way to do it. Maybe save up and do the RIP, and if you can't afford the RIP, maybe wait for when you can. That would be my advice.
And
I would only add to that, Mike, the 2 p.m. Day and night combo ticket with Express. That's probably the second best thing to RIP, because then you get Express all night and you get to do the daytime and the nighttime for the park. That's probably the best bang for your out of town buck there too.
Definitely. Yeah, that would be the other thing that I would do. We experience the park during the day as well, and not having that express for the park. It would have been nice to have that after 2 p.m.
Yeah.
option, but we were going to do the RIPs. But yeah, no, I would just definitely recommend that would be a potential option as well if you were going on a weekday and it was fairly slow for express, because I do think the express lines get to a place where you're going to have a hard time getting everything done with express on a weekend.
That's
Mhm.
Hollywood, baby.
Yeah.
And don't let RIP scare you off. If you're looking at express passes, it's not that much more to go RIP if this is like a one night thing for you.
I think we did the math, right? Where it's, if you factor in parking and you factor in some of the things you get, you're talking about $20-$30
They get
more,
pretty close,
right?
to the
They get
2
pretty
p.m.
close.
pass. It's like $30 more the 2 p.m. pass with express.
Yeah. But and then the 2 p.m.
Yeah,
pass,
adds
you
the
are
park.
getting
Yeah, of course.
park admission. So there is some trade-off
Yeah,
there
of course.
for sure.
My thoughts on the year were actually, for me, it was kind of a down year. I thought 2022 was kind of a big spike for me for Hollywood after 2021 was not good. 2022, I was like, oh shit, this is and then outside of like adding the level of quality Terror Tram had this year, and then of course Purge Show, it gave me nothing new, and everything else I saw was kind of a worse level of its equivalent, and in some cases a much worse level of its equivalent. So yeah, it wasn't a great year overall. I think the zones basically stayed the same, and Momias got worse in that location. So down year for sure.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that, Duff. I felt the same thing. Like, I felt like 2022 was such a step forward in the right direction overall. I was like, yes, we're going to, soon here, we're going to be, it's going to have the same party atmosphere as Orlando. But even though they added a few things, they kind of failed to achieve that overall. I think when we see the scare zones get more love, when we get new locations so we can get 10 houses, when it's not so busy that it's impossible to walk everywhere, then the event will really start feeling better, because showing up with a frequent fear pass and seeing everything at more than an hour, and then some nights nothing lower than an hour and a half, I often ask myself, like, why the fuck did I drive all the way out here? And that was a real bummer. And then also, they really pissed me off with charging for early entry this season.
Oh yeah.
And then like having none of the houses staffed for that. It really made it worthless at the end of the day. So that really ticked me off.
Yes,
I'll
Jonathan?
jump in.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. I read your mind.
Look at you.
I know. But as before I talk about the event, I do have to hop on with Mike and RIP, because this is my first RIP experience as well. And I was a person who did 2 p.m. With Express, and that's what I did. And it worked out for the times I did. I did every house twice except one, I think both times.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I did pretty good. Last time I just skipped Legends because I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that again. But doing RIP is like, I can never go back now. You have convinced me that it's the perfect way to do it, because the fact that I was struggling to get 2 house runs done of every house with the 2 p.m. Express, but with RIP I got like 10 runs of Chucky, and I could have got way more. I could have got a ton more. I could have got like 10 runs of every house, like if I wanted to, with that damn RIP lanyard. Absolutely stunning. I like, you always talked about, oh, there's an RIP line that's faster than Express. Like, how much faster? No,
Like you're the only person
faster.
there. That's how fast.
Yeah.
That's how fast, like way faster than the Express line. So it's absolutely worth it for that. Also adding the food, because the last time I did Hollywood 2 p.m. with Express, once HHN started, I did not eat. I did not have food. I did not ingest anything, because I didn't have time. Like, I got to do the houses, and there was no time for food. So the fact that you actually had to have a nice meal beforehand, and even if you wanted to get food, afterwards at the lounge as well, huge step up. Not starving during the event improves the experience, for sure. But if we're talking about the overall year itself, not as good as last year. It's hard to beat a year that had fucking Scarecrow in it, which was just insane for a Hollywood house. It's still my favorite of like any Hollywood house, even with my Chucky bias. And this year did have a couple of misses, but I do think overall it still was a really fun time for Hollywood. Better than 2021. I've only going for 3 years, starting with that year. And I mean, it did the thing that was the most important thing for me this entire season, is that it did Chucky right. It's what I needed. It's what my soul needed. And they fucking did it. So it was still a great year overall, and I had a absolute blast.
Yeah, Jonathan, I'd like to be your chiropractor in about 10 years for all the sodas that you packed into your backpack and ran around for like at least a couple hours.
This man took advantage of the buffet, all right.
He did.
Oh my god.
He went back. He's like, we need to get some more Diet Cokes. He was like me and sweet tomatoes, like just stuffing my pockets worth of blueberry muffins.
More croutons.
Sweet tomatoes.
I miss sweet tomatoes. I
do too.
Come back.
Yeah, there was. I put a lot of Diet Cokes in that backpack. The whole rest of the trip we were good. We just put Diet
started
Cokes.
selling them, John. You probably made a killer profit.
I probably would have.
He filled the Airbnb fridge. We had Diet Cokes.
Universal.
I had to be in your early 20s again.
Hey, it says all you can drink.
Exactly. There was no rule saying I couldn't take one of them.
Just take the whole
I
fucking
paid
mini
ever
fridge
much
next
money.
time. All right, Jess, that leaves you.
Sorry, I've been up for a while. It was Hollywood. No, it was a good year. It's only my second year, but it obviously wasn't better than last year. And you guys already said it, so I will never not do RIP. I'm spoiled. 2 years going strong.
Yeah, no,
keep it
no
up.
chance I'm going. I've done 1 year without it, and that was enough to convince me to never not do RIP. So, and that was with Express.
I acknowledge it's spoiled. Nope, I'll acknowledge that I am spoiled, and I'm gonna keep it that way. And I'm going to go to Knott's with Fright Lane, and I'm going to go to Hollywood with RIP. Because it's a big trip for us, so just save up for it all year, and then I don't got to worry about it.
Basically.
And then you get to do everything. Like, literally everything, which is great.
I might be adding an additional stop after my Hollywood trip this year. We'll see.
Oh.
We'll see.
Interesting.
Down year, but it was still fun. I will keep going every year. It's a fun event, regardless of comparing it to anything else.
Yep.
All right. I think that pretty much wraps us up. So before we do our little outro, Jonathan, thanks for joining us, of course, again.
Yeah.
That kind of wraps up our Hollywood series, I guess. Maybe we'll get you on soon where you can discuss a little bit more about what you experienced in Orlando. Because we do like to hear that Hollywood perspective. Like we give our Orlando perspective in Hollywood. So
definitely.
We'll see. We'll set something up soon. But just remind everyone where they can find you.
Sure, you can find us at The Hauntline on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube.com/The Hauntline. You can also visit us on the web, thehauntline.com, for links to all of our stuff. And it's always a true pleasure chatting HHN with y'all. And, speculation season has already begun, baby. And I can't wait to see what we got coming up this season.
Our time has come.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan, thank you so much. Always love having you on. Once again, you can find us at Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at HHN365, and on TikTok at HHN365pod. We have a Discord where the rumor mill is already running. The link is in the description, and a merch shop at HHN365.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 407-906-4134, and we'll see you in the street.